Hello, friends, and welcome to the Friday Conversation, episode 97. I always get the numbers wrong every week. I go back and listen, and I'm like, that's not the wrong. So anyway, 97. So we heard some friends today. We'll be talking about reviews, and I figure who better to invite to talk about reviews than Mike's book reviews. Mike, how you doing?
Oh, great. 97. That's the year I graduated high school. That tells you guys how old I am.
Oh, so, young pup.
That's the year I was born.
This is great. People are telling me, hey, it's like the 20th anniversary of Fellowship of the Ring. They're like, yeah, I was like 6 when I saw it. I was like, I was older. So good times. Hey, thanks for the invite, Steve. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. And I'm 98, so we're close.
I'm 98 as well. This is sick.
Yeah,
rather not say.
Uncanny.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not the oldest nor the youngest, I feel like it's a good time. All right.
Yeah. And Chris.
Fly under the radar. That's me.
That's it.
Name's Chris Mohan. Sometimes YouTuber, sometimes appear on other people's channels talking stuff.
That's
it.
And Carl.
My name is Carl D. Albert. I am the author of Truth of Crowns, which came out earlier this year, and a very happy member of the Page Chewing Forum and frequenter of this podcast.
Just glad you can make it. And Jarrod.
I'm Jarrod. I run the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel and also a frequent page chewing hunter.
I've been known to visit once in a while. So I should probably mention, I always forget to plug the forum, but if you'd like to join us on a Friday Conversation, check the forums. We post all the links there, and you can just jump in and join us. And we have lots of other nonsense going on, so love to have you.
I love nonsense.
Yeah, lots of nonsense. So, Mike, I know reviews, it's a wide, there's a lot we can break. There's lots of facets to reviews, but how do you approach reviews? What is generally your thoughts on reviews, on content, and on just the work that goes into them?
Wow, I got to go first. Okay. Well, for me, I always like to. I don't like to review books that I don't like because I feel like I don't want to be blamed for like torpedoing someone's career, like if they're just getting started or something. So I always said, like, I'm always going to find something nice to say, even in books like I've despised. I found a way to say something good about them. So I think just keep things constructive is the way that I do it. But I just do a very simple method. What's the book about? Then I talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, or not necessarily maybe not what I didn't like, but, something that you might want to look out for. If this is kind of something you don't really care for, hey, that is there. Let people know that. And then just kind of like my final thoughts kind of thing about where it ranks. But I avoid star ratings because people look so much into star ratings and out of 10 and all that stuff. I'm either, hey, read it or, maybe if you'd rather mow your lawn or something, maybe, that's kind of the way that I look at it. But yeah, just keep it positive. That's kind of my whole message. Just keep things positive.
Chris found a kindred spirit with star ratings.
Yes, indeed. I'll reiterate what I said in the video in general, but it's like, if my own star ratings aren't consistent from day to day, like, why the hell should anybody else watch them or look at them? Like, it's not, well, a 3-star one day is a 4-star another day, is a 5-star. Like, what? Like, it doesn't really make much sense for me to put them on. So, in theory, we read books with lots of words in them. We should be using words as a better metric to describe books and kind of give books. But I think in general, people don't really read them or watch them, as the case may be, in the same way. As much as people say that they value them and they want them, but nobody really uses it other than it makes a number tick up 1 to say there is one more review than last time.
Yeah, TikTok Nation wants you to do, really, really quick reviews, and then say you do a 60-second TikTok review, and they'll say you didn't say anything. So it's like, what do you want? All my videos average 20 minutes, and you guys tell me I talk too long, but then you tell me my reviews are lacking if I don't do that. So it's a losing battle. So, and it's gotten worse, but I just feel like, attention spans are just getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So I'm surprised anybody listens to what I say at all, because I can't say anything shortly.
I feel that I definitely find that star ratings are like the worst part of, I feel like, present day reviewing landscapes. And it started certainly, in newspapers and magazines going back decades and decades, but it's just such a facile way of like trying to interpret or explain how good or how bad a book or anything is. and yet they carry a lot of weight just because of the power of things like Goodreads. I don't even know why I still use Goodreads. It's a horrible website.
I did a 20-minute video about Goodreads the other day, so yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. The star thing.
Well,
never.
that's the thing. You put a 5-star review on something, people think it's amazing. You put a 1-star, they think it's the worst thing ever. But with me, I got a lot of people that would compare. Oh, well, you gave this Brandon Sanderson book a 3, but you gave this other author's book a 4. Does that mean you think you like it better than Brandon Sanderson? What? That's what? No, I didn't say that. So it's just. I just stopped putting star ratings on Goodreads.
That's always a problem with those. Yeah, I always
finished.
Like I would whenever I first started, I was like, oh, should I do star ratings? And I'm like, I was thinking longer about the star rating than I was about the book, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Right. And then I don't give 5 stars unless I think it's something that's like all time, an all time great, and people get mad about it. Well, that brings the ratings. That's not my problem. That's a Goodreads problem. That's their rating scale. So I know people love to give out 5 stars like they're giving away candy. That's just not me.
Yeah, I hate Goodreads.
It's like people who say they don't like Twitter, but I was like, but there isn't very many, better alternatives because of the number of users. That's the biggest thing for me. It's like there might be better alternatives to Twitter or to Goodreads, but it's got such a massive user base. It's tough. It's like the Netflix of streaming services. There's just so many more people who have it. It's rough.
I hate the prompt especially when
you're doing any book reviews prior to starting the YouTube channel. Yeah.
Me? Oh yeah. I mean, I just every once in a while I would just do one on Goodreads, but I mean, I also think that like I wasn't really using Goodreads consistently until like about 2017 or so. But I'm much more of a speaking guy than I am a writing guy, so I'm afraid everybody will just go through with a red pen and talk about how awful my writing is and how I use nothing but like fragmented sentences and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I talk, instead of, because you can criticize the way I talk, I guess, but there we go. But, yeah. I mean, if I did, they were one paragraph, so.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, like, the prompt that comes when you're reading Kindle, you must rate that book immediately. Like, it's all part of that ecosystem. You're not allowed to sit on it, not allowed to think about it. Kind of put it away before you go on to the next one. It's kind of that propulsion of chewing up content, spitting out reviews, kind of feeding the system, feeding the machine, all that kind of stuff. And just sometimes I like to read books. I like to watch movies without just kind of going, oh, I must have an opinion on this. I just want to pass sometimes. To enjoy content and kind of put it down and go, okay, that was good, bad and different. I don't need to share it with the world.
Even that word, like people don't even think about it anymore. But here comes Varsha. Hey, Varsha.
Hey, Varsha.
Hello.
I was just gonna say the word content, I feel like undercuts a lot of the like the art in a lot of this stuff, and it I feel like is and I use it like this is not a judgment or anything, it's like how we talk about things now, but it leads I think it just like is so clearly a product of no pun intended, the corporate aspect of how corporate everything has become. You're talking about like that churn, and trying to keep you in the ecosystem. And certainly we're talking about Goodreads and Amazon and Kindle and all that right now, but it goes beyond that, whether it's in Hollywood or wherever.
Welcome, Varsha.
Hello, Steve, and everyone else.
Hi.
Glad you can make it.
Yeah, sorry I was late. I had to juggle a few things, but here I am. I'm excited to be here.
Nice.
A wizard is never late.
That's right.
It might be overused, but I mean, it's perfect. I mean,
That's true.
My supervisor didn't like it, when I used it at work one time, but everybody else did.
Well, reviews do help, Mike, because I did pick up Red Rising from your review, so there's always that.
Yeah, like when I started my channel, like those were my most popular videos. Now it's like crickets whenever I do, and I know that sounds people are like, wow, I'd love to have 2,000 views on a video. I'm like, well, yeah, but when you're looking at your audience size, and less than 1% of your audience is watching it, they may not be interested in that content, So that's why I'll still do them. Like I said, I got the word book reviews in the channel name. It'd be kind of hard to not ever do them again. And I do enjoy doing them. But I think it was you, Steve, who actually told me, hey, but they're evergreen. Nobody's going to watch your TBR video 2 years from now, but they might watch you review this book. Hey, they might actually pick it up and check it out later. They ain't going to be interested in watching, your book haul from September of 2020. It makes sense. It makes sense. But it is frustrating as a creator on the front end, because that's when you get the first 48 hours when you get the most views on a video. So it sucks when you really spend a lot of time on one, and that's my cricket sound. I'm not very good at that. Sorry, sound effects aren't my thing.
There must be different.
That sweet dopamine. Yeah.
Is it? Do you have any theories about why reviews aren't doing as well as they used to? Is it like people are going to TikTok now?
Attention spans. People are just. They love them 1 minute videos now. They get right to the point. Like the biggest complaint I ever get is, "Oh, it took you 2.5 minutes to actually start talking about the book." And I'm like, that's just kind of my style. Is I introduced you to what the book's about first. But again, like I said, you do a short review like that, and people say, "Oh, well, you didn't say anything."
Wow,
it's a double-edged sword.
Are those complaints on the actual channel, the comments, or?
Oh, all the time. Oh, the actual review starts at 2:48 and shit like that. Like all the time, all the time.
That's cool.
I've timestamped it for you so you don't have to wait. Yeah,
Jeez.
Even though I put the timestamps in there, people still do that. So.
Oh yeah, still there.
Yeah.
What's your approach?
Hits.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about it.
There's no dopamine hits with reviews in the same way as like a top 10 videos do great, because every couple of minutes you're going to get the 9, the 8, you're going to get that woken up, kind of refresh again to say, look, pay attention again. Whereas, reviews are usually longer form thoughts, rambling. You can break them up into sections. Like I've tried lots of things, but ultimately it comes down to here is a random lot of thoughts, and either you're in for the journey or you're not. Yeah. And most of the time they're not.
And people who haven't read the book were like, "Oh, I want to wait until I read the book," even though it's spoiler free. Yeah. And people who have read it are like, "Well, I don't really, care because it doesn't have spoilers." So there's no happy medium anywhere in any of the reviews. There isn't. And like I said, that's why I'm down to like one a month now.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What's your approach, Varsha, on reviews?
So I don't really do them anymore, but I do want to start again. But when I was doing review type videos on my channel, I call them thoughts and impressions because one, I wanted to ramble and maybe feel free to do spoilers at some point during the video. And also I didn't feel qualified to say I'm reviewing a book. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just ramble about everything. And I try to bunch the spoilers together towards the end of the video. But now, and it's usually because there's so much, if I only did them for books that I really liked. And if, because I don't want to go and say I didn't like this book for these reasons. So I only did those videos for books I really liked. And so it always felt, even when I made 20-minute videos, I felt like I didn't say enough. So now that I've started doing this Bright Threads instead, which is where I get to do all the spoilery stuff, I can now do, I want to try what doing a spoiler-free discussion looks like. I've been thinking about it, and when I have the time, I'll start again.
Just having the time.
It's so tricky, right? I mean, like Mike, you were saying, just like there is no happy balance, right? Like if you go spoiler free, like it's hard to get, really in depth or very specific, but at the same time, like half your audience or more is going to like dip if you go into spoilers.
Right. I tried to do it a while where I'd be like, okay, the first half's going to be spoiler free, then go to spoilers. You just watch your engagement go right off a cliff. And, that makes the good old Lord algorithm decide, oh, your video isn't holding your viewers' attention, so it's not important.
Yeah.
There you go.
Jeez.
It's pretty sad because, like, in a lot of cases, I like doing reviews, but like you were saying, like I really like getting into nuts and bolts and getting in the weeds and something. And some of my favorite videos are reviews, but it's a bit like you say, for the amount of time and effort that goes into not just recording the video, the edit and all that, but actually thinking about what I want to say here. It is not a quick to do what I think is justice or to really enjoy it. It's not a quick process at all.
Yeah. And I assume if you're really keeping your audience in mind, which I categorically wasn't, because I had like 20 subscribers at the time I was doing these videos. It must be hard to figure out a good medium between giving people who haven't read the book the information they need, and people who have read the book enough to give them like the age that we have to say, oh, what does this person think about it? I hate it or love this book, and I want to know, to give them enough thoughts to it. It must be a lot of effort, I'm sure.
Yeah, I tried to do the what I was calling rapid reviews, which try to basically keep it under like 5-6 minutes. And I can't talk about this coffee mug in under 5 or 6 minutes. There's no way I could tell you everything I liked about a book. Like, I'll try to do shorts, and I'm like, that is the hardest thing in the world to tell you why I liked or didn't like a book in 60 seconds. I'm sorry, I'm not sales pitch guy. At least not shortly, so it's rough.
Yeah, there's also I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, no, I was just so sorry. Go ahead, Carl. Sorry. We should be better by now, but go ahead. Sorry.
I know it's like a skill. We've trained, we practiced, but alas. Well, all I was going to say was like, that when you get those 60-second reviews, they're so like, there's nothing to them. They're vapid. Like it's impossible. Like you said, Mike, like you can't say anything about, so you get, the Goodreads phenomenon of just like all caps screaming like, OMG, this is the best book of all time. Like, maybe here are like 3 tropes in it, and go buy it. It's the latest big blah blah blah, and it just doesn't mean anything, and it's impossible to tell really anything about a book except like you could read the blurb in that time, and that would be more useful.
I start sounding like the Micro Machines guy. I was talking really fast. Look at this book, and it's just like it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So.
The Micro Machines guy. Yeah, that's a callback. So that's a good one.
I don't like to say the Scat Man because that usually goes over poorly. So,
Yep, I know it.
Yeah. My kids like that song, by the way, and I'm trying not to laugh. So.
Scatman Mike, come and make a return from Scatman John.
Yeah, the whole like gush review, when every review is a gush review, I just don't really, it doesn't mean anything. When everything is great, then it's like another book is the best book you've read all year. Like, okay.
Literally,
so it's hard to find reviewers because I think we all have reviewers that we go to and kind of match our tastes. But when it's just gush after gush after gush, and this is the best thing ever, it's like, is it though? When a week ago was the best book you've read in your life.
They throw the 5 stars out so much. And I'm just like, so you're telling me that's one of the greatest books you've ever read in your life? I'm like, well, no, I just really enjoyed it. I'm like, so it gets a perfect rating because you enjoyed it. So it's I know everybody has their own grading scale, but I just don't get that. I mean, you're talking like I got to be like Tolkien or something for me to give 5 stars to it. Something that I feel like people will be reading 100 years from now for me to give a perfect rating for something. I guess we're just, built different. I guess.
That's probably something that they're not considering. Will the book stand the test of time? Will it have that kind of staying power to deserve something, a rating like that?
And thus, why I quit star rating. Well, I can't believe you gave that book, because obviously with this generation, it seems like 3 out of 5, 7 out of 10. That's a bad score now. I'm like, it's not bad. It means it was good.
Yeah, right.
Anything less than 4 stars, anything less than a 9 out of 10 is apparently bad. I was like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I remember the.
Don't tell my teachers.
The book
1 and 2 stars you only give to stuff that like is personally makes you mad. Like something that like
I think I one-starred like one book, and it was a Brent Weeks book that pissed me off so bad that I like literally was throwing it. That's like the only time I've ever given it. Everything else, the worst is just going to get 2. But yeah.
I think it was on Robin Hobb's Goodreads. She has an explanation of how she rates books, and she says 2 stars is not a bad rating because I finished your book. That is a big
because I saw hers, so I tried putting that explanation in my bio. Didn't change anything. So. It's like, it's almost like nobody reads that. Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of 5-star reviews, I'm sure there's an author code out there, and Carl, I'm sure, I don't know, let us know if this is true, but it seems like there's a code or like something that just authors do for one another is they give each other glowing 5-star reviews all the time. Like every author review is like it's never a 4-star, hardly ever. There are some who do it, but very, very
Mark
few.
Lawrence, he's like, yeah, it's a 3.
Yeah, well, he's Mark
Vicious.
Lawrence, so he can do that. But I think it's almost like a help me out, I'll help you out kind of thing. And so that's why when I see authors review other authors' books, it's like, okay.
That's why I saw that thing today. I forget who was talking about it. Was saying that someone was like paying to give like 5-star reviews. I was like, I've been doing this for 5 years, guys. Ain't nobody ever offered me money for a review. They offer me money for sponsors. They offer me money to sling their ridiculous products that have nothing to do whatsoever with books. But I was like, I've never had anyone be like, yo, I'll pay you if you give me a 5-star review.
Yeah, I've had a couple people reach out and be like,
really?
Do you want to pay me? Like, it's always some stupid amount of money too.
Really? Wow. Man.
I don't know. I guess people I imagine it's not their day job, but it works for them, I guess. Or maybe it doesn't, because I have never heard of someone actually taking it. You know, I feel like part of being an author and putting your stuff out there is like, I feel like it takes a lot of like pride in a sense, you know? So you're like, I don't want someone to just like say whatever because I paid them. Like that almost like undercuts your own work. Although some people do. I mean, apparently I saw the latest, people will do surprising things just in the pursuit of advancing their careers, I guess. I don't know if you guys saw the latest Twitter book.
I tell people all the time, man, I got no problems. If you want to make some money, man, go make some money. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always said I'm not going to lie to anybody about this stuff. And, you know,
that's the way
I guess I'm not for sale in that regard. But I'm also saying like I've never gotten that offer before. So,
So you were actually approached, Carl?
1 second.
I wasn't asking that. We want names.
I've said too much.
He said too much.
Yeah.
They're on to me.
Oh, God, the alarm is going off.
I think the most I did was I talked 60 seconds for someone about this chair because it was a really nice chair. And I said, sure, I can tie that into reading. You know,
sorry, I you scared me off, Steve. It was getting a little too intense.
There's someone behind you.
I have to be really careful about what I say.
You guys
if you look really closely,
yeah,
there's a red dot right here. No, yeah, I did. It was just like on Instagram. I don't even know how they found
the pictures
me.
I was seeing today.
Maybe I did a hashtag or something, and they were like scrolling through. Because certainly my book hasn't been like big enough that it's gonna ping anyone's significance radar. I don't know. They reached out. They were like, "I will pay, or you will pay me to advertise the book," and I was like, "No, bye."
No.
And yeah, it's such a strange thing. On the author code idea, you know, I mean, it's a real thing. I think it's sort of unspoken. I mean, sometimes people talk about it, but I think the idea is you just don't want to like hurt anyone's career. You know, like Mike even said, you know, just trying to be positive, you know, it extends the same way. And I guess for some reason, authors reviewing other authors is like thought of as being more personal, although it doesn't. I think there's nuances because like I don't feel bad about like giving a Brandon Sanderson book like 3 stars or 2 stars even because he's
going to be okay.
Yeah, he's Brandon Sanderson, you know, like whatever. You know, or if an author's dead, like Bram Stoker is not going to be upset if I don't give Dracula 5 stars. So I think, you know, it just really comes down to the individual circumstances, particularly with like new authors or self-published authors, you know, who maybe aren't fully established, of which I'm both. So I mean, I've wondered if I should just delete my Goodreads page, but I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys can hear my dogs barking. That's like part of what I have to. Okay, good.
They're outside.
Yeah, it's you just don't want to seem like a you know, a jerk, I guess, is the bottom line. Although it's weird because everyone's taste is different, and like so long as you're not going on and being like, this is the worst book ever, you know, or just being like really passive aggressive and just like leaving a 1 star and just like leaving, not saying anything. I've
seen other reviewers who would just completely shred someone's book and then tag them on Twitter. I'm like, what
horrible.
A bully.
Horrible. Yeah.
I was like, my gosh. I had to do a negative review one time because I had planned out a whole slate for October. I was doing all these horror books and I planned my schedule ahead of time. And I really did not like a book. And I felt sick having to review that book. I was so scared she would like see it. I still feel sick about it, like to the point to where I eventually I just mark that video to private now. I feel awful for her because I don't like to do that. It was an author that was established enough that, like I said, they're going to be okay. But I hate doing that. I hate doing that. You put a spotlight on something that I really didn't like.
Yeah, I wish the reviewers that tagged authors realized that a lot of authors are masochists, so they're going to look it up anyway. You don't have to worry; they'll find it.
I say that a lot sometimes. Like I'm good friends with Christopher Rocchio, and he was like saying, I just don't even go to Goodreads and read anything. He's like, because I'm trying to keep a positive feeling about what I'm doing. So I was like, I don't know. I would never search my own name because I know that people are always going to be saying nasty stuff about you. So yeah,
I think that's a good policy.
Maybe that's why I couldn't be an author because, well, besides the fact that I can't write, but no, it would drive me crazy seeing all that stuff. So I feel like on Patreon they have a thing where when people leave they can explain why they're leaving. I won't even read that.
I hate that. I hate that. It's like breaking up with your girlfriend. It's like, honestly, I just don't want to say anything. Come on, let's just leave this. This was a transaction. This wasn't even.
I had a deep thought about my change of life.
Oh my god! Yeah, I was just right. It's not you, it's me. Something like that.
That's the way to do it.
I've heard that plenty of times in my life. I'll accept that one. I can shrug that one off, which means it is you, but it's okay.
What about you, Varsha? Do you do bad reviews? Do you feel bad being critical?
I think so. I don't make videos on my channel. I barely am able to keep up with the books that I do want to review. But the ones that I don't like as much, I do rate all the books that I read with 3 stars and 2 stars and whatnot. But if I really don't like it. But lately, what I've started to do is if the book does not have a lot of ratings already, I try not to bring the average down if I don't like it, because it could be for someone and I don't want them to look at the average rating and say, oh. So I don't rate books that have just 1 or 2 or I don't know, less than 100, let's say. I don't rate them unless I like them a lot, which I don't know, I guess skews it poorly the other way. But also I did this analysis a while ago. I looked up all the less than 3-star books on Goodreads, and most of them are just, like really problematic books that deserve that rating. So most books have a 3-star or greater average. That means there is a greater number of people who like a book than not. So it just makes sense to me it's fine if I skew the average the positive way. Unless it has really problematic things, in which case I'll probably do a 1 star.
I think a lot of it,
if I'm trying to help someone out, someone who's like Mike Shackle. I mean, those books are picking up for him now, the last war books. But when I did it, I was just trying to help the guy out to get more people to it, and I put a 4-star, and I got people mad that I only gave it 4 stars. I was like, what? And Mike, who he actually messaged me, he's like, "Man, thanks so much, 4 stars. Wow, thank you."
That's great. Yeah.
It's like, what the hell, man? So yeah, it's a losing battle.
Yeah, it is another aspect of that. Everything has to be the greatest book ever. That even 4 stars, people are like, oh, so it's not that good. You're like,
oh, I thought you really liked it.
What?
It's 4 stars? I mean, I didn't.
Yeah.
When did this happen? Yeah.
Even if you try to translate that to a school grade, which is not an accurate translation, but if you were to do that, that's an 80%. A B, you're doing well. What is this? You don't have to get an 100% to be, a good student.
Right. I go on Social Blade and it grades your channel, your YouTube channel, and mine has a B-, and I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. even the stars beside. I remember your review for The Will of the Many.
And
a
book I really liked. A book I really liked. And I just didn't think it was one of the greatest books I'd ever read.
And I remember all the comments you got. And I was like...
James actually messaged me.
I was like, did you not listen?
Thanks so much. I thought it was a great review.
I was like, you guys did not listen to this review.
No, they didn't. But that's the most
why I quit using the word
part.
review when I name a video, because at first, we're talking about reviews. That gets people turned off right away. So I just try to do a 1-sentence blurb if I was reviewing something. That's why I could try to do the title of my videos. And I try never to do the like clickbaity thing. But with that one, I think I did say, it's being so well received, but doesn't deserve that. So I think maybe that's why people just assumed I was taking a crap on it because I said I didn't think it was the best book I'd ever read. It was a really damn good book. I don't know. It can't please everybody.
And also, like Steve said earlier, if you rate everything 5 stars, that starts to lose meaning too, right?
Boy Who Cried Wolf, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I don't even take like those like ultra glowing, like this is the best book ever review, like unless it's by someone I know, like who I've trusted, who I've seen over a long period of time and like seen their reviews and seen how they handle things. Like in general, particularly obviously on Goodreads, like it's just that's just a white noise, it means nothing. It's really, you want to like find those like 4-star reviews, that like
search out the 3 and 4-star reviews. Yeah.
Right. That are more nuanced and like actually talk about the book as opposed to being like, this is the best book ever, for the 6th time that year. Yeah.
And bad reviews sell books too. I mean, there's lots of times when I'll find a 1-star review like, this book was too violent and it made me depressed for a week. I'm like, okay, auto buy. Like, they're
great sales pitch, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they sell, bad reviews sell books too.
I think I bought those Peter the War for the Rose Throne. Is it Peter McLean?
Yeah.
Seriously, like people were like, "Oh, I noped out in this book like the first like 10 pages because it was just too dark." I was like, "Bye."
Yeah.
Hell yeah. This book is too grimdark. Give me. Yeah. You're right.
So that's a good question. What are some negative things that people can say about books that are actually positives for you guys?
I'm a delinquent. The best one for me is this book had too many bad words in it. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Hey, that's why I picked up Jay Kristoff, because people were complaining about his bad language. I was like, sure, I read Joe Abercrombie. Give me some bad language.
I'm the same way. If anyone's like, oh, this book is like hedonistic, which I have seen people describe books as hedonistic, or like, yeah, there's too much bad language, or like there's too much violence.
The one that drives me crazy is it's adult fantasy, and people are upset that it has the word "fuck" in it. And I'm like, really? It's adult fantasy. Do you say that word? Yeah. So you don't think these people fighting dragons would be saying it?
Oops.
What about you, Jarrod? What's a negative thing that'll make it you
usually if somebody would say it's too flowery prose or complicated, then I'll usually look right into that just to see for myself.
That's another one of the big ones for me is like, this didn't make any sense, or like, anything like that, where I was like, okay, like I'm intrigued. Yeah. Like, we're probably working with, anyway, I'm going to stop before I get myself in trouble. But
I would say is I'm not a prose snob, but if I'm talking about the prose, they're pretty damn good, I think. So
yeah.
What about you, Chris?
I mean, you're assuming that I read reviews at all, but if I did, anything that is too something is going to bring a reaction. So if there's too much political stuff in this book, well, if you like political fantasy, you're going to say this might be the greatest book of all time for me in some ways. This is too much character work. If you love character work, it might be the greatest book of all time for you, even in some ways. So anything that's too one way or the other one's always going to engender some sort of reaction in you, for sure.
I don't know if you guys follow Joe Abercrombie on Twitter, but he posts his 1-star reviews sometimes, and one basically said like the characters shit themselves too much because it's true.
He's my favorite author to follow on Twitter. He's so funny.
He's a hoot.
His sense of humor translates like he just is like that. Like you read his books and you're like, I bet I know what this guy's like, and you meet him or you see interviews with him rather.
How can that guy write books where so many bad things happen and I laugh so much?
Yeah,
he's a talent.
I gotta read.
What about you, Varsha?
Oh yeah,
First Law's good.
For me, I think, Jarrod's answer a little bit if they think the prose is too flowery. The other thing that someone might say is, oh, it's too complicated. I did not understand it. I want to understand it. Especially for sci-fi books, I think I like that. But there are also some reviewers that I've come to realize if they don't like a book, I will. So
Yeah, oh, I have those. Oh yeah. Oh, this one person didn't like that. I'm checking it out.
yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much read whatever Philip Chase tells me to read.
So I have a small channel compared to over 100K, but so I've had weird experiences with authors. Not Carl, I'm not referring to you, but I've had some strange.
You can name me. It's okay.
No, I have a dot on my head in a minute, but I've had some strange interactions. Mike, I'm sure you've had some really weird interactions with people offering you arcs and things.
Yes. Leave it there. I've had people actually get like angry if you say like, well, I always tell them is like, look, I can't promise you anything. You don't realize how many of these I get, how many offers I get a week. And I'm like, I can't promise you anything, but I can, show your book off in a book haul, try to get, a link there where people can check it out if they want to. It's really all I can promise you is because, I do have a full-time job. I do have 2 young kids. I can't promise you I'm going to read your book. And they'll get pissed. And I don't know. It's like, okay, well, I could have showed your book off, but now you get nothing. So, okay, bye. So. Yeah. Most are really thankful. Most are really great, though. I mean, you do let those. I've said that like before I did books, I talked about sports and I talked about movies, and that's going to get the most negative comments you could ever get. So this is like a completely positive community by comparison. Where it was like 1% positive over there, it's like 99% positive here. So that's why I think those really negative interactions.
Yeah, sports is really
stick with you a little bit more.
Sports is tough. That's a really.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Every time you talk about a team that is not yours, you are just a hater and you hate their team. It's just great. It's great stuff.
Steve, I'm curious, are there particular, without naming names, obviously, like weird is an interesting word to use. Like, was it just negative or like, did it get weird? Like, was there something like off about the way that they approached you? I'm just curious.
Well, I've had a couple that I do the same thing. I'll tell them like, look, I'd rather I'll buy it myself because I'd rather support you. And if that way, if I don't get to it, then it's on me and you don't waste your money sending me a physical copy. Like if you want to send me an ebook, I'll try and get to it. I can't promise anything. I'm months and months and months behind, but there's been a couple who were like, I sent you my ebook like 3 months ago. I don't see a review. Like, what's your review?
Like, I get that.
I haven't got to it.
I'm very upfront with them about that. My process. They will still do that. Have you read it yet?
Yeah. And I had one person send me messages like, I really want to send you my book. And I said, I would feel bad you spending money sending it to me and me not getting to it in time. So I'd rather I'll just buy it. I'll buy it myself. And he said, no, I really want to send it to you. And I said, thank you, but thank you. And he's like, I insist. I want to send it to you. I said, okay, you can send it to me. And then I didn't hear from him for like a day. And then he came back like, oh, never mind. Like, okay. All right.
I've had that with cover reveals where it's like people just completely flaked out on me to the point where I was like, all right, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing the cover reveal thing anymore. You want to send a book to me and I'll show it off? I'll do that. But like the cover reveal thing, I was like, I had no idea that it was like such a big, this person had like rights or this person, I didn't think that they would say yes. And I was just like, forget this. It's just like junior high. What is this? So yeah, I just said, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
But you said most of the interactions have been positive and good. What's the percentage of negative interaction that both of you guys have had?
With just authors?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I can count on one hand.
So like less than 1% probably, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely mostly been great, and most of them are just thankful, that I would even like. They didn't think I was going to respond to the email, and I'm like, I'm just a dude, It's like I'm not some celebrity or something. Of course, I'm going to respond to the email. So I don't know. Most are just thankful,
What about you, Chris? Have you had any weird ones?
Not me. No, the only interactions I generally had was people from the Friday conversation or otherwise, and I definitely did. I'd say fall into the trap, but it's not that you kind of get chatting to somebody and you get invested in the telling of the story of the book and you go, I want to read that person's book now, that kind of thing. And some of them will go, I'll send it. And I pretty much the same. I'm like, No, I'm buying it. I mean, you sold me on the book yourself. You did your sales pitch, right? So I'll buy in the book. No, let me send it to you. No, this is honestly, please not, because then it creates this weird interaction. Then I always feel like if I accept the book, in that case, when I wanted to buy it, I'm predetermined to give it a positive review. When I'd rather just kind of enjoy the experience and make my own of it that way, rather than have any value judge it. And this weaponizing of reviews. It flags every kind of couple of months or so, just people going like, why would you read a book and not review it? As if that's some sort of like contract you sign, even if you buy a book off Amazon, that you must review it once you're finished it. Like, I mean, can I not just pay the money and read the book?
Takes on Twitter all the time, just like,
okay,
what
are you talking about? Yeah. So but most of it, I'm definitely not big enough to be approached at random by people, but a lot of people could kind of say, look, do you want a copy of it? And I usually say no, because I don't read that much. I only get through a couple of books a month. The chances of me ever getting to a random book is almost nil.
Whoa, wait a minute. You mean to tell me, Tris, you have a YouTube channel, you don't read 40 books a month?
I mean,
what is going on?
I get told all the time, Mike, how do you read so fast? Like, dude, I read like 3 to 4 books a month. Is that so fast? Like, there's people like, I read 54 books, like 54. Wow. Okay. Well, look, if I do that,
blows my mind.
No. So, I don't audio, so maybe that is what they're doing.
That seems to be a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that much faster, the audio stuff?
Well, a lot of people crank it up to 2 times speed and just burn through books.
Well, and a lot of people have jobs where they can listen to headphones at work,
right,
I think, and so they'll do that. And I'm just like, wow, so you guys are getting like through a book a day. That's impressive, I mean, I wouldn't retain anything, but I'm bad at audiobooking. I don't. It's in one ear and out the other. I don't retain any of it. That's why I don't do it.
So here's the question:
blocking out my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
See if you read 40 books a month, right? How do you review any of those? Like, if you're burning through a book, more than a book a day, or even 30 books, like, how could you possibly review it?
I don't know how he could retain it, much less review it. I mean,
exactly. That just boggles my mind.
Sometimes I'll read a book in like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, man, I should have slowed down. I didn't have time to think about it at all.
Yeah, I could never do that. Because I'm reading a book, I'm taking notes. I'm like stopping and going back and looking at another sentence that I went over, and I'm like, I don't know how you can do that many. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
that's why I said recently that I feel like someone told me they didn't think that reading burnout was real, and I was like, oh, reading burnout is real. It's like the people who say they've read the entire Wheel of Time in a month. It's fake. That's not real. There's no way. So I don't know. That's just me.
Except for paramedic. Paramedic can do it.
Or Esme reads like...
And Esme as well. She's another one. She can do it. There are a couple of people who can do it, but they're a very select crowd.
Yeah. They're both, Paramedic and Esme are both awesome. So,
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
My sister,
I've been reading Malazan for 3 years, so that's impressive.
Yeah.
I just finished The Grip of God last night.
Oh, you did?
Did it.
All right.
I've been on Toll the Hounds for like almost 2 years now.
I took 8 months to read Toll the Hounds.
I just finished my reread of
A
that.
lot of people are like, oh, Alan told me that's gonna be your favorite one. I'm like, really? Okay.
Alan didn't even like it.
No, he did. That's another one of those reviews where he did like it, even though he's had a lot of problems with it, but he did like it.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, really? See, I don't know if I watched his review. I just remember seeing it, some conversation with maybe it was him and Jimmy Nuts or something. Yeah. But him talking, and he also becomes.
Yeah, he jokes about it a lot.
I love seeing him take on that character of going off. Oh, I love Toll the Hounds. That's my favorite in the last.
Oh, his Krupp impression? Alan's Krupp impression is amazing.
Yep.
I have it every time I ever talk to him. I'll have him do it like a freaking monkey. I'm like, hey, do it. Do the voice.
Yeah.
So I can't unhear it now when I read.
Put in a coin.
Just get to the last.
Get the Krupp out.
Get to the last 100 pages, Mike. You go. You'll fly.
Marsha, did you like it though? The ending?
Yeah, I did. It was
great.
Yeah. I don't know if I missed something, but there were several threads that...
Not that if I missed something, it's how much did I miss?
That's true. So, yeah, I think it was very satisfying. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I love the ending. I don't think it has really sunk in that it's over yet, so I'll give it a few days. And
I finished the Expanse this week, and I'm still just
Oh.
kind of like, that feeling of you've been in a long series for so long, and you always have that. Oh, I got the next book, and you can't say that anymore. So this is the first time since I think like Wheel of Time I've really felt like that, because this is the longest. And I'm finishing Realm of the Elderlings next month, so it's probably gonna feel like that with that too. So
Yeah, that's going to give
you
you
finish a long series, I think.
that's going to give you a book hangover. Realm of the Elderlings, definitely.
That's what I've heard. A really good friend of mine. The reason I amped up really reading that was she was messaging me when she finished the last book, and she's like sent me a picture, and her like eyes are all puffy. I'm like, I want to feel like that again. I was like, I want to feel that way about a series. So that's why I really like kicked it into high gear reading that one. So yeah, everybody tells me if you finish Assassin's Fate, you're gonna need a couple of days. So, let's see.
Steve has some fresh takes on the Expanse. He's the one with the fresh takes on the Expanse.
You did or did not like?
So I liked it up until when the TV show stopped. And without getting too spoilery, I think because I watched the show first and then I read it with Chris and Robin and Layla and Susanna, but I was disappointed the show stopped. I was like, why did they stop? They need to come back. And then after I read the books, I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. Like,
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like upset that the show stopped on Babylon's Ashes now, because that's probably my least favorite book out of the whole series.
I don't want to say too much.
It's done for me too. Yeah,
it does get a little. It does things. So I get why. I get why they stopped when they did. I'll put it that way. But it was fun. I liked it. Overall,
he said it was four books too long, is what he said.
Well, that's what I felt like during the Rain Wild Chronicles of Realm of the Elderlings. I'm like, what have I got myself into? But then I got back to Fits in the Form. Like, all right, here we go. This is the stuff again. So I think all series are like that.
But that's what makes for good discussions. That somebody has a different view to you, because then the videos would be about 10 minutes long. Or
go back to all my old Wheel of Time reviews. People are like, oh, I'm still not convinced you like that series. I'm like, what? Because I was critical of it. Oh
yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god.
So Varsha, was it worth it? Are you happy with it? Are you in a book hangover?
yes, I don't think I have a book hangover, because what happens after I finish a Malazan book is, I can go finish the other things that I've not been reading, or like start a book and tear through it instead of spending 7 months on it. So, because there's like, we've talked about this before. I had 10 books in progress, and a large part of the reason why I wasn't finishing them is because also there's this long book that I keep coming back to. So yeah, I think I'm going to close out a bunch of books, and that's what I tend to do after a Malazan book. But
see, after I read an Erickson book, it was like my mind was like on a higher plane of existence, because I'd pick up my next book and I'd blow through it in like a day and a half. I was like, it's so easy to read.
Right. Yeah. And I think we're getting I was getting a double dose of that, because Johnny Wirtz's books are also kind of like that. So any normal books are so easy to read lately. So yeah, but the problem is even books that I have been picking up lately with the intention to tear through them, like I'm not going to spend time analyzing everything. I can't stop. So I have to like stop and think about how this is going, what I like and dislike and so on. Earlier it used to be because I might make a video about it if I like enough, but I haven't been doing that either. It's just I can't turn my brain off anymore. I think Malazan and Wars of Light and Shadow did that. But anyway, yes, I think it's worth it. I will probably feel the hangover, because I stayed up until 5 reading it, so I'm a bit sleep deprived and so on. So it hasn't really sunk in that I finished it. But yeah, I think mostly I'm really glad we're doing the reread. I think that's what's keeping me happy. If we didn't have that coming, I'd probably be really depressed.
When you hit 100,000 subscribers, I feel like you should get a plaque for when you finish Malazan Book of the Fall. It's like, if you look at like the tap out rate for that series, it's got to be in the 90%.
Easy.
It has to be, because I've probably met a handful of people that have finished it. It's amazing.
What do I get for my reread?
Gold plaque. That's funny. There was a Reddit thread, a thread on the subreddit for Malazan, in which someone said, "Have you met a Malazan reader in the wild and not just virtually or online in these subthreads?" And someone responded saying, "What do you mean you haven't been able to find anyone? There are literally dozens of us."
I think every month that goes by, I have someone in my comment that's like, "So, Toll the Hounds?" ? I'm just like,
Yeah,
I know.
it's a book. Yeah,
Malazan fans are zealots. They definitely they go for it. They want everyone, and I mean I get it, because it is a series that like you want to talk about with people. But
I don't feel like they've been like bullies or something though. I mean, they want me to finish it, but I got this idea that they were like super elitist and they were just going to be like, oh, gatekeeping and stuff.
No,
it's one of the best fan interactions I've had was for Malazan. They were just happy that people were putting, extra eyes on them and stuff. So nothing but great things to say about that.
Very helpful fan base.
Yes.
Although it is annoying that every time we talk to them, we're like, well, after I read Malazan, it ruined every other book series. I'm like, all right, well, sorry that your life's over, but cool.
I definitely disagree with that one. I think it's enhanced my reading experience all around. So
So it makes me feel like I've leveled up and I'm a better reader now because I got through, Deadhouse Gates.
On the plus side, if you ever do finish Malazan, you could make a thumbnail with the phrase "the end" on it. Once you finish Malazan, the end of Mike's book reviews, and you looking very sad and tearful about the whole thing, and then have the double bluff of it.
I was going to do one time. I was going to do an April Fool's video of why I rage quit Malazan. I was like, they've been a really nice fan base. That better not poke the bear. Because as we pointed out, a lot of people will, not even watch the video and they'll
on the day
comment about it. Yeah, so there you go.
But on the plus side, Mike, you could do it. That could be evergreen content, and people could leave. Maybe just have life for it forever and ever. Like, it's not going to hurt your interaction, and you could just do it for a joke. It actually would work out very, very well.
I mean, I did put up a thing where it said basically I was taking a break from Malazan. I was going to finish it later, and that's got some interesting comments.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's evergreen to just make people mad.
Yeah.
They'll keep coming back. They'll be like, they'll finish the series. They'll be looking it up. They'll be like, where's the Malazan review? Oh my God, and just.
I think I try not to make, like I said, rant videos or just angry videos or just negative videos overall. And it's kind of funny. This channel was very, very young when I did it. I had some extra time. I was like, what can I talk about without having to think about it? Oh, talk about why I didn't like Name of the Wind. And that's still one of my most popular videos. It's unpopular opinion, on Name of the Wind. And because I was like, I know it's a me thing. And that's why I did an actual full-length review for it this year. To get people like, I liked a lot about this book. It's not that I just absolutely hated it. It was really more like I'm saying, it's a me thing. I don't understand why everybody loves it so much. That's all. But yeah, still, it's one of my most popular videos on the channel. The audio barely matches my lips. I'm recording on a webcam. It's really early in the channel, but that's still like one of the most popular videos. And I still get so many comments on that video. It's weird.
That's one of those that I do think will be, I mean, not evergreen forever, but for certainly a good long time, just because it's so divisive. Not only just like as a book, but
and I feel like the longer he's taking to finish it, the more people are starting to turn on it.
Yeah, exactly. So people will continue to get mad and enjoy.
When I first started the channel, if you said anything bad about Patrick Rothfuss or Scott Lynch, man, woo, watch out, buddy. Now people are like, fuck these guys,
those guys, yeah.
A lot of one-star reviews on Goodreads for that new novella. It was like, he needs to finish book 3, 1 star.
I think everybody's just turned on him. I mean, because I feel like even though like with George with Song of Ice and Fire, I feel like he's still super nice to everybody. Whereas Patrick can kind of rub people the wrong way, and I think that's kind of affected it a little bit. The legacy of those books, I feel like, because he's pretty nasty to people. Like you basically just be like, ask him about book 3, and he's like, "Fuck off," I mean, So he's not making a lot of friends these days. And then I think didn't he do that thing where he was going to do something for charity, and then he took the money and didn't do it?
Yeah. Oh no,
that's when people really turned on him. Yeah.
Oh no.
That's sucky.
Or it's like 2 years out now, and he hasn't. And he in fact didn't do his charity last year because he was so stressed about it, I think.
And it's like, dude, it was a chapter. It's not like even you were giving away like the first 100 pages. You were doing a chapter. You could have made a 2-page chapter.
Right.
And it is your job. Like at a certain point, if it's your day job, it's different from like making a video or something on your hobby, and you can kind of go, I could take it or leave it. But you know, I don't know. There's a professionalism kind of side of it that you kind of think would kick in.
I mean, I want to be on his side because, I mean, like I said, I'm a huge George R. R. Martin fan. And I mean, I will sometimes still defend the guy, but I'm just like I said, at least George is nice. You know?
So, Mike, what author has reached out to you to review a book that surprised you that you never thought you would hear from?
He didn't actually really ask me. It was something that was like recommended a lot. And then when he found out I was going to do it, he sent me all his hardcovers, and that was the Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill. Such a nice dude. I mean, just like beyond nice dude. And it blew me away that his books are so goddamn good. I mean, like ridiculously good. Because I did have that stigma a little bit of, oh, well, if you're a self-published author, you're probably just not good enough to get a book deal. I admit that I was wrong about that. And Ryan's the reason why. And he's the reason why I'm trying so much self-pub now. Because, I mean, there's so many things I didn't know about the publishing game, about how just backstabby it is. I had no idea how they hold some of these people like prisoner, basically. You know, they'll buy their 3 books and then they'll release one. They'll never release another one. You can't go do anything else with it. You're stuck. And I never knew these things. And so that was a big eye-opening thing for me. And then, like I said, his books were so dang good that just like was just a cherry on top, you know? So I love when an author is really nice and then their books are actually really good too. Yeah. I mean, I have had authors where, you know, I'm excited because they're nice people and I'll try it. And I'm like, you know, like, it wasn't really for me, you know, but how do you approach that? You know, but they've all been nice.
Nice.
What about you? Anybody surprises you?
No.
No?
Not really.
Carl.
We don't have one on the call or anything?
It's so horrible. He like it's hard to even talk about it.
It was pretty rough. Yeah. I'm still in recovery.
I had somebody like, oh, so you didn't like Philip's book because you haven't read 2 and 3? I was like, I got a lot of shit to do, man. What the hell? I read his first book. Jesus. Yeah, Philip's my guy, man. Jeez.
I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm gonna read them eventually, but like there's a lot to read.
I mean, they're huge. It's like it's not like I can just like fit that one in. Big. You know, it's like,
no worries, they were good.
What about? Oh, yeah, you finished them, right, Jarrod?
Yeah, they were very good. And the third book is the strongest of the 3, so it gets better.
That's what I've been told.
That's what I've heard. I'm excited. I definitely. I mean, I think that's not an uncommon story in a lot of fantasy stories where you kind of have to like set the table, you know, and then you really get to dig in. But I've heard, you know, particularly that it gets like more complex and, you know, really fleshes everything out and goes in unexpected directions, which is something I always appreciate.
No, I appreciate it a lot. I like the second one a lot of action in it. But the third one actually did something more unique. And it was definitely his. It seemed like he really found his stride, and it's really well done.
Hey, sticking reviews, you guys ever get the I can't take your opinion seriously anymore? You guys got that one yet?
I've gotten the, what was it? Dumb people shouldn't talk about smart books. I got that.
Oh man, you should make a business card with that. That's great.
That's a t-shirt. Of it. Yeah.
No, it was pretty good.
Wow. Oh my god!
I never claimed to be smart.
I got my first troll.
Yeah, that's right.
I think when I get a comment like that, I pin it. I pin it on the video when I get a comment like that.
That's it. It said, your interpretation is bad. That's all it said. Okay.
Oh, and I said, like, I've read 4 Mark Lawrence books. He isn't really clicking for me. That's all. I just can't take your opinion seriously anymore. Really? I wasn't mean about it.
No.
Okay.
I thought it was just very, I've tried it. I've done this. I thought if I tried another one, I might take. I thought it was absolutely fair, balanced.
You go to someone like Andrew's channel, and Andrew's like, yeah, I read 10 pages and I DNF'd it. I was like, nobody's saying mean shit to Andrew.
He throws it in the bin and all. He just goes,
I tried 4 books,
Andrew's just so jolly, though.
Nothing as good as that zinger, though. Dumb people shouldn't talk about smart books. All right.
Yeah. I was like, wow. It's pretty good.
Honestly,
bad.
Steve, get that in a t-shirt in the front, and I see dead people in the back. You know, and you're on a winner.
On your channel page, you can put the banner. I would just make that my banner if I got that.
It's not a bad idea. I saw the screenshot. I have it saved. I was like, that's going to go in the record books. I have to save that.
Which book was it about?
It was Negative Space by B.R. Yeager. Yeah. I was like,
smart.
well. Yeah. I was like, okay.
No, that's what's chased me off of Gene Wolfe, is because I have Book of the New Sun. And two things. One, you're not going to understand anything that's going on. That's not a very good self-pitch, you guys. And two, it's more complex. It's even more dense than Malazan. Oh, shit, really? Yeah, so I was like, I'm finishing Malazan before I even try that. I'm not. If I start that, I'll never finish either of them. But yeah, telling me you're not going to understand anything about it, that's worse than saying, oh, yeah, Wheel of Time's a great series, but books 7 through 10 are really slow. Like, I thought that was the worst sales pitch ever, you know? So, wow.
So I like Malazan, and we're going to be rereading it with Varsha as our guide in a few months, whenever she's ready. But the pitch for that isn't the strongest either, because I hear a lot, when you get to the end, it'll all make sense. Okay, so like 15,000 pages later, it'll all make sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Let's
so
go.
many people, when you get to book 6, it'll actually kick into high. 6! Book 6! Okay, all right. And they were right. Book 6 was excellent. It's my favorite one in the series so far. So.
But people can use that to describe book series that are good to wait. Like, that's the common thing people say about Dresden as well. You know, by about 7 or 8, you know, it gets really good. 12's amazing, all that. But they're enjoyable the whole way through as well. Like,
I enjoy it all the way through.
Yeah, it's not. They do get better towards the end, for no doubt, but they become blockbuster at the end. Like, it's not.
I think it's like a hindsight thing. Like, if you look back at books 1 and 2 of Dresden now, you'd be like, yeah, not very much was going on. It's like, you know, the first season of like a Star Trek show or something where it just got bigger and bigger and it got better. In hindsight, I think it could feel like that. But I enjoyed those first 2 books when I read them the first time. So,
What about you, Varsha? Any trolls?
I haven't had trolls. No, I had one person ask me if I was Indian, and I mean, I was fine with that question. But other than that, I think, yeah.
Can't say I've ever gotten that one either.
It's coming.
Are you Indian?
I think I've had someone ask me if I was Jewish one time. I was like, what does that have to do with the Stormlight Archive? I have no idea, but okay.
Some strange interactions out there for sure. And another consideration, I guess, of the algorithm is that, I don't know if this is on your mind ever, Mike, that a book that you read and you want to review, it may not fit into the same genres that you normally review. Is that ever a consideration for the ones that you make a video for?
I mean, I very much, I'm SFF. I like some thrillers, you know, I'm a big Michael Crichton fan, so I'll try some thrillers. People all the time want me to read like these police detective novels. I was like, that is not my brand, man, like at all. And or a real big one. Why don't you ever talk about any nonfiction stuff? Because I don't read very much nonfiction. What do you want me to talk about? This JFK assassination book I read? I mean, what do you want me to talk about? You know?
And you know, if you did do it, no one would watch the video.
And that was it. I talked about the Dave Grohl autobiography, and it was like it was so bad, I had to delete the videos because it was bringing my channel down.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, you're right.
Pretty difficult.
And I'm curious, what would you even say about a nonfiction book? Steve, I haven't listened to your mushroom
Tangled
book
Life.
yet,
Yeah.
but how did that go, talking about a nonfiction book?
So I had to, yeah. So I recorded a chapter. Every chapter I recorded but I just found myself talking about what the book was about. Like, there's no story, there's no characters. It's just about facts. Like, and I felt like I was just reciting the book. Like, it was not interesting. It was like, it was almost like listen to this hour of podcast and then you don't have to read the book anymore. And it felt like that's kind of a shitty thing to do. Like, I want people to read the book because it was interesting, but I just didn't know how to talk about it, make it, because I'm so used to looking for characters and themes and story and all, and then it's like, okay, algae and fungi. Like, okay, like, it was a whole different thing. It was a whole different experience. Way out of my element.
With stuff like history, at least, like, you can still make like a real story out of it, you know? Yeah, it's a lot harder if it's just a book about, facts.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
I'm
interesting.
trying to get more into historical fiction, because I like Ken Follett, I like Bernard Cornwell, but I was like, that's two of the best ever apparently at that genre. So maybe I've set the bar a little high because everything else I've read, I'm like,
I just read. Have any of you read Essex Dogs by Dan Jones? He's like a real historian who's like wrote historical books, like books on medieval history. But he started writing fiction and historical fiction, and Essex Dogs is the first. It's about the 100 Years' War, the first campaign, and leads up essentially to the Battle of Cressy. And it's quite good. It kind of reminded me of Joe Abercrombie. It's not quite there, like it's not quite as funny or quite as like the characters aren't quite as compelling, but it's good. It actually reminds me of Bernard Cornwell a lot. I'd recommend it. It's a good time, but I also admittedly I'm a fan of the period, so that helped. But I like the characters too.
I feel like reading like Pierce Brown. I've learned much more about Cicero than I ever thought I'd need to know. So.
The problem I have with a lot of historical fiction like that, I can't help but thinking this would be improved by just a tiny bit of magic. If it's just a tiny bit of magic in this world, this would make this about 10 times better. Even Flintlock Fantasy falls into that kind of thing. You just gotta get this a bit more.
About Pillars of the Earth. I was like, I think that any fantasy fan would like Pillars of the Earth because it has maybe magic in it. Kind of like Bernard Cornwell did with the World War Chronicles. Like it could have been magic, could have just been a hell of a coincidence. You never know. I think that's the way that they do it. But history is what most of these fantasy books are based off of, guys. For sure. So most of George R. R. Martin stuff is based off of history.
Yeah. So, Carl, I have a question for you. Because of your knowledge of the Crusades, would you call so far The Prince of Nothing historical fiction?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not even close to being historical fiction. It in some ways it's closer actually than A Song of Ice and Fire. Just in that, like, George takes a lot of inspiration but veers, and George is probably the best next comparison. But he kind of like throws a lot in, like it's like mixing from a lot of different time, which is actually something I like to do too. While Baker, at least, like, he is following the First Crusade in like a very broad sense, but the characters are so different that I wouldn't be able to call it. And also, I mean,
there's
just getting into the magic and it's so beyond, although I don't know, the First Crusade is interesting because there are like magic items, like holy relics that play a big role. So like if you were to tell the story, you would have to, like, crazy things happen. I mean, that's one of the reasons I really like the First Crusade in particular, is like there are like crazy events that of course people like gave meaning to. And it's very interesting. There's definitely room for, I'm sure someone has written historical fiction about it, but no, I don't think, I mean, I'm only one book in. I don't know. Maybe.
Are you liking it? Because that's one I've said that it gets a lot of Malazan comparisons, to where I said I finished Malazan before I finally tried. I've had Prince of Nothing on my shelf for years now. But are you liking it though?
Oh yeah.
People tell me as a big Dune fan that I would like it because he was greatly inspired by Dune.
You can tell. You will read it and you'll be like, oh, I see it right here. Like, it's, to me, that's the clearest influence of anything by far.
That's why I like Guards of the Moon, because I felt like Dune-ish to me, I think, and where everybody has just such a negative reaction to Gardens of the Moon, where I was like, to me, that was the most Frank Herbert of his books that I've read so far. So I was kind of okay with it.
Yeah, the jump right in aspect of it. Yeah.
That's a good way to get me interested in something. Tell me it's like Dune. So.
What do you think, Varsha? How are you liking it?
Oh, I like it a lot. I'm trying to see the Malazan comparisons, maybe in terms of complexity, but writing style, I feel like this has been vastly simpler to read. I can get through 150 pages in one sitting.
And you understand what's going on at all times?
More or less. I mean, there are a lot of terms that are thrown in, but I think that's sort of typical for many fantasy books. I don't think it's doing much more than it would have. But yeah, maybe it's in terms of like the complexity of plot and the scale of the world and things like that. But in terms of just how easy it is to read, I find that it's a lot simpler to read than Malazan.
He doesn't obfuscate like Erickson does a lot. Like, I love Malazan, but there are times, like I remember there's this one scene in Toll the Hounds actually, where there are two characters and it's just, they just refer to them as he and she and barely describe them. And you're just supposed to intuit who they are. And you have to go like 2 pages before you get the names. And it's like, why just give us the name, Steve? What are you doing? And that's, you know, that's just part of Malazan. Like you're on board with that or you're not. But Baker, I never feel like that with it. Actually, his writing style reminds me a lot more of Tolkien. Like his voice is more Tolkien-esque, just very dark, very, very dark Tolkien.
Yeah, I've heard those books are pretty grim. My thing with Malazan is where I'm like, I don't know if this is actually happening, right? Is this a vision? Is someone having like a fever dream? Is this a flash forward? Is it a flashback? I don't know if this is actually happening. And I know that's a lot of what Gene Wolfe does as well, too, apparently.
Yes.
I know that a lot of big time science fiction fans, they love that. They love not knowing what's going on, where I'm just like, I have to understand what's happening, man, or else I'm just like, what is happening? You know, so it drives me crazy. So maybe it's just the type of reader that I am.
Gene Wolfe, I think, is a much closer comparison to Erickson in terms of like, sometimes you have to interpret what's going on. While Baker, that very rarely, it's more straightforward, I think.
No, they love the Second Apocalypse, I guess it's called. They love that. They're reading like all 7 books of that on my Discord, and they love it. That people can't stop talking about it over there.
Yeah.
So
We just
like
finished the first one.
now, so I love it so much.
Oh, I guess the other reason why it gets, but I don't know if I really answered your question, Steve. I do really enjoy the trilogy, but I guess the other Malazan comparison is the philosophizing that characters tend to do, which is my favorite bit about Malazan. I don't think we've seen a lot of it yet, but I've given to understand it's to come, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, I like God Emperor of Dune, so I'm okay with that. So a little bit of navel gazing once in a while if it's done right, you know.
That's Baker. You'll like Baker then, I think. Again, I think actually Dune. It's like Dune and Lord of the Rings like thrown together, and then with like more atrocities.
You're gonna make me change my whole TBR. Slow down. I gotta do Shogun next year, man. I ain't got room for this.
I was in my books.
I still got to read Shogun. Oh my god!
Well, the FX series is coming out. I want to finish it before that comes out, and that's at the end of February. So I'm starting in January. Hopefully, I can finish by then. So that's a big old boy.
The show looks good, though.
It does.
It looks really good. Really good.
Looks good. It's not late. You're not too late, Mike. We just finished the first book, and we're starting the second one. Is it Tuesday?
Of what, the Asian side?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Prince of Nothing.
Oh,
no big deal. You have time.
Snap.
Finishing The Expanse, finishing Realm of the Islands. Sounds like you got a lot of free time.
I will not submit to this peer pressure.
That's what somebody would say just before they cave.
It happened. I didn't plan to read Bound and the Broken last year, and then I read like all 4 of them, or all 3 of them. They were so long, it was like reading 4 of them, but yeah.
These books are shorter, I think, at least. I mean, they're still like big books, but like my understanding is they're all like...
Shoot, I say the Prince of Nothing trilogy is shorter than A Born Ruin by Cahill. So.
Yeah. It's like I think they're like in the 150 to 200.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's encouraging, Steve. Thanks. That's
terrifying.
All the tabs. There's not that many tabs.
Yeah, I was doing that with Malazan. That was like the book's already hard to close. I'm just gonna
This is just what a group read with Varsha looks like. Just in
yeah. Part of the course. Yeah.
You don't want to turn up unprepared and say, "Did you not see that?"
That's me whenever I talk to Philip. Whenever I talk to Philip about something, like, did we read the same book? Because I didn't get that. I just assumed Philip's smarter than me, and it was there, you know. So, and I'm talking with him about Lord of the Rings tomorrow, and I was like, I know a lot about Tolkien, but I'll talk to him and AP tomorrow and feel like a complete dullard. I can't wait. It'll be great.
I've got to reread Lord of the Rings at some point. I read it 13 years ago now. And I feel like I will read it very differently now than I did then. So I've got to do that.
I sort of don't want to read Lord of the Rings again because it has like this kind of like special corner of my brain that I don't want to mess with. You know, it's fine just the way it is. I'm good with
That's
it.
fair.
Right. Nostalgia's great. Nostalgia's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
I'm kind of like that with Harry Potter. I has a special place.
I'm like that with a lot of TV shows I liked as a kid. I go back and watch them. I'll be like, man, this is terrible. So I'm just going to leave them in that nice memory bank right over there. Yeah.
I can't get over the fact that I rewatched the A-Team and how absolutely terrible the A-Team is now. It's absolutely unwatchable.
That's what I call it. I call it the A-Team rule because I was so excited. I loved the A-Team as a kid. And when they came out on DVD, I was all excited. Ordered some pizzas. We're going to watch. That's the first episode. I was like, this is awful. Hey, sometimes pilot episodes are just bad. And I watched the second episode. I was like, wow, is the show actually terrible? Because this is bad. Yeah.
It's still bad.
So I call it the A-Team rule now, where I leave those shows that I loved when I was a kid.
When they redid Battlestar Galactica, I was like, no, I love the original Battlestar. And then I went back and watched it, and I was like, okay, redo that.
I know people were like against the Ronald D. Moore remake of Battlestar Galactica, and it's just so funny to go back to now because it's a lot of people that's like their best sci-fi show ever made now, and so it's wild because I was like, I remember watching that original Galactica when I was a kid. And I was like, this ain't Star Wars. They didn't have a talking dog on it or something. It's something.
So after the experience with Cahill, are you more likely now to read self-pub, Mike?
Yeah. I've already done some. I said I probably never would have read Rob J. Hayes. I never would have read Emma Wong. I probably never would have read Michael R. Miller's His Ascendants book that I read. There's tons of them. I'm gonna read. I ordered the Threadlight by Zach Argyle. When that Kickstarter shows up, I'm gonna read it. So yeah, it definitely made me be like, you've been very stupid about this, Mike. So I can always admit when I'm wrong.
I'm excited to get to Rob J. Hayes. I haven't read any of his stuff.
Never Die is a really fun book. It's like a reverse Suicide Squad. Very cool. Yeah. You'll see what that means in the prologue. So that's not a spoiler.
I finished War Eternal this year by him as well, and it's also great. It has that. I have a main character that I actually really dislike, but can't stop reading. You know that kind of one. Yeah.
Is it like he's like such a bad person, or is it like just like annoying? Or
she is a bit both. So it's a female character, and she's quite young at the start of it, and she's just rage all the time. So she's like the worst emo 13, 14-year-old kid you've ever seen in your life, but she can just destroy everything in her path and wait, and she makes like really rash decisions and all that kind of stuff. And you wish she could have some sort of manner of just think about something for 2 seconds, but she can't. But it also is really compelling to read and goes on for 5 books of her. Like that's how much it sustains.
That sounds like the Poppy War, except the compelling part. Not there for Poppy War.
Yeah, Brendan's different.
Man. Totally unlikable character, and she just wrecks everything. But I'm not compelled to keep going.
Yeah, no, Eska is for sure.
Yeah, that's rough. The Poppy War is such a strange trilogy. I don't know if did you finish it? You didn't finish
I like book 1.
Oh.
And book 2, I really was not. I mean, I had to force myself to finish it, and people were like, you don't want to read book 3 then. I was like, all right.
Oh, jeez.
Book 3 was rough.
Interesting. I haven't gone to 2 and 3 yet. I'm curious to try. I'm someone who, I know a lot of people felt like in the big change that happens in book 1, they like check out. It's like too much for them. But I thought the book got way more interesting after that.
No, I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. I was like, I don't have to like your protagonist to like your book, really, honestly. But then book 2 happened.
I'm interesting. Now I'm curious. I'm like, I want to know like what goes on in book 2.
I hope you like it for real. I always tell people I want people to like things, so don't take my word for it. I always tell people, make up your own mind.
I liked book 2. I mean, I like some of it. Some of it, the parts I did like, I really liked, but book 3 was really rough, really hard. Yeah. A big change in tone. It went from being serious to being like, let's just do stuff. It'll work out. Like, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. My wife without getting too specific.
I actually bought, it was last Christmas, I bought her just the first book for exactly the reason that you're all talking about, because I haven't read it. Thinking if she'll either be in or out or whatever. And a week after Christmas, there was the box. She rebought the first book in the series of 3 because it was obviously a better deal that way, and she ripped through it in like days. Like absolutely started.
They have their audience. Like they're popular. They've sold really well, and I mean people really like them. I've definitely found Kwong she's super nice, by the way. I met her. She is like incredibly nice.
Author code. Here we go. Author code. There it is.
There it is. Author code up there again.
But yeah, her books I know are so divisive. I have Babel, and I've just been holding off on reading it. I don't know. I'm nervous.
Did you guys read Greenbone by Fonda Lee?
Yep.
I haven't.
I have not finished Jade Legacy. It's her books. I find Jade's City I blew through, and then Jade War I like for like the first half of the book. I was just like, it was like pulling teeth, and then something clicked, and I loved the back half. And Jade Legacy, I'm still in like the first half. I expect it's going to happen again, but I think it's a writing style. I don't know what it is, but like I could guess, but I don't want to like.
She's good and crippling nice. I mean, just like so stupid nice. It was just like, gosh. I feel like I could never say anything negative about your books after how nice you are.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really did like that trilogy a lot. I really did.
So how do you approach that, Mike? Let's say that you didn't like Philip's book. Let's say you hated it. You couldn't finish it. How would you approach that? Because people are going to be asking you, did you read the book? Tell us what you thought.
I would say, hey, I always tell people to read it themselves and make up their own mind.
What a pro.
I'm not going to trash it, especially when it comes to, a self-pub author. I'm always going to try to keep it as nice as I can, as positive as I can for their sake, even if it didn't really work for me. But I mean, I don't feel like it's a criticism. Say it. I think they're a talented author. That the story just didn't grab me the way it did someone else, and I don't think that's a lie either. Because I mean, in the end, your story isn't grabbing me. I don't care how great your prose is. If I'm not digging your characters, I'm not into your plot. You're probably not going to keep me around.
For sure.
So that's why a lot of these. Oh, I could listen to this author describe grass growing. Well, that's great, guys, because that's what Name of the Wind did. So if you're into that, sure, go for it, man. You're going to love it. But it's just not for me. I need more than just you're a beautiful writer. I was like, because if so, I've got Christopher Rocchio, who's as beautiful a writer as Rothfuss is, and his story and characters are really great too. So
Name of the Wind is one I love that first book. The second book I struggled with. There were parts I really liked in the second book, but there were parts I really thought were just like, oh, this is so drawn out. Like, but man, I mean, admittedly, that was one of the books that got me back into reading fantasy. So that may also be part of it. But Name of the Wind has a special place in my heart.
And I would never try to take that away. I don't like to be a wet blanket, really. I mean, for real, I don't like to be a wet blanket. Everyone's enjoying something. That's why I say, it's clearly a me thing, And I say, that's cool. I think it's great. In the end, I want everybody to enjoy what they're reading. I really do. I want them to feel like they've got to read something, or it's a chore, or something they feel like they've got to check off of a list. I don't want that. Who wants to do that? Reading's supposed to be fun.
Steve, have you read Wheel of Time?
Oh,
yeah.
Me? Oh.
Yeah, Steve.
No. I was told by Yolene that I won't like it. She's like, don't bother. You won't like it.
I feel like you won't like it.
Okay.
I agree with that, but I was curious. Yeah.
I don't think you'll like it.
Don't bother. Wow.
Yeah, she hated it. And she made a video about it that I'm sure is like probably one of her most viewed
now
videos.
she's like retired, isn't she?
Yeah.
See?
She
can't go up against them wheelies, man. There's something else.
Yeah,
there it is.
The end. Yeah, there's certain people who will tell me like Taylor from Maybe Between the Pages will be like, you won't like this, don't bother. I'm like, okay. Cool.
See, but sometimes that just makes me be like, oh, what the hell with you? I'm going to read it anyway.
I am a unique individual. I will surprise you.
Yeah, it's too much of a time investment to prove someone wrong. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Because me and Patrick usually align on a lot of things, but sometimes he'll be like, oh, this is like one of the best books in the last like decade. And I'm like, really? This was it, huh? Or, he'll flat out tell me that you ain't going to like it. Ah, come on. I think I will. No, he was right, So I think you have some people, you make as much content as I have. People, I think they know your likes and your dislikes enough that they can make good recommendations. But then there are the people who cheat and say, Mike, it's like the First Law. You'll love it. And you read it. It's nothing like the First Law, like at all. I was like, did you just say that to get me to read it? So that's why I have to be careful. People are like, oh, it's like Dune. Because they just say, oh, that'll get Mike to read it, So gotta be careful.
It's the bingo card filled, yeah.
Get the hook on there, so.
But
it happens.
Expectations play so much into your experience of reading anyway. You know, if you go in like overhyped about something, it can sort of only let you down. And similarly, if you it goes the other way as well.
And I said that might have played into my feelings about Name of the Wind. It'd been hyped up as like the most important fantasy book since Tolkien. I'm like, holy shit, really? Yeah, so I went to it maybe expecting something too much. I really don't let that bother me. But I said that I would reread it when book 3 has a release date. And I feel good now that I never have to reread it.
So. One book that did not, I mean, I'm sure there are others, but that didn't disappoint when I got to it was Golden Sun. I heard so much. Red Rising, I was like, I bounced off twice and I finally powered through. And yeah, Mike, you were one of the reviewers that like really talked it up. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go in. We'll see. That book is paced like no book I've ever read.
I tell people, get through. Just if you read Golden Sun and you're not digging it, it's not the series for you.
Yeah,
but I was like, book 1, dude, you can go back to that old ass video I have where I trash Red Rising. Like, why is this book so popular? You know? And then I read Golden Sun. I was like, holy crap, this is what I wanted book 1 to be. So yeah, that's why I tell everybody, read the first 2 books. So I'm glad that worked out for you. And they're still good. They're still going. They're still good.
Yeah.
There's only one left.
Actually, Lightbringer might be my least favorite of the books so far. I'm a weirdo who really liked Iron Gold. I know that one's divisive.
Although I'm mad at him about Lightbringer, so I'm glad that I talked to him before I read Lightbringer. Or else I might have just been too mad at him. So I'll just leave it at that.
I liked it. Okay, Red Rising is definitely my least favorite. I liked Lightbringer, but there were a couple things which we'll see. Maybe they'll be sort of massaged and explained in the next book. But a couple things where I was like, this felt like this character got away with something they should not have. And in this series, that where like the consequences are insane. And are very real, particularly
Let's talk
around
about that and why Steve hates The Expanse once we're off.
Yeah.
Why Steve is wrong about The Expanse. I can't wait.
It's so funny. I mean, I don't know everything that happens, but what I have heard about the last trilogy of books, I'm like so excited to get to them, and it's so interesting, Steve, that like. What by my I don't know, but by what I understand, that was the turn-off point for you. I'm curious about, is it the space opera? How do you do with the space opera genre in general?
I'm okay with space opera. For me to really just like, we talked with Chris and Robin and Layla about kind of what changed that kind of threw me off the series, but I enjoyed it. There was some hit and miss. There were some books that I really liked, and then there was some periods where I think there's a lot of red shirt moments. Like there's a new character that gets introduced, and like this person's gonna die in like no time. Like they're not going to be around very much longer. And of course, like they're just there to move the plot along, and then to die and to move the rest of the characters along. Like they're just there to serve a purpose, and then they're dead, and then everyone moves on and forgets about them. So it's fine. It is what it is. But the major changes.
That's not perfect, but for me, it was like I thought the series was good, not great. Where I said I actually thought the TV show was better until I got to book 5, and then book 5 was like, holy shit, this is what I've been waiting for, and then it never really let up again for me after that. So maybe I just wanted it to be bigger. I wanted it to go bigger, and it did.
TV show is so good, and
TV show is so good.
I just want to say that Miller was right. Just want to give Miller his props because he was right.
I love Miller.
Well, look, man, I'm not into older ladies, but Alba Sarala, I'd marry her right now. I'd marry her right now.
Oh my God, yes.
She's awesome.
I don't even care that her voice sounds like she's never missed a day of smokes in her life. Doesn't matter. I'd marry her right now. Yeah.
It is astounding that she reads maybe even better than she's portrayed in the TV series, because she is legendary in the TV series, but she reads. I mean,
there's no way that actress did not read the book to pull that role off the way she did. Yeah.
Good old Chris.
Really good casting. Yeah, great casting. Great casting for sure. But yeah, the so Mike, speaking of and then also James, they live here and very close to me, and I was trying to massage that. I'm like, oh, hello from I'm down the street from you, but it didn't work. I tried. I tried Brandon Sanderson, and he's like, if you don't get 100,000 downloads of your podcast, we're not interested. I'm like, okay.
See, after that's me. Why have you not had Brandon Sanderson on? I'm like, I mean, I haven't told anybody. I can't it's not like a movie where you can kidnap the guy and make them come on your channel, right? I mean, if that's the case, shit, why haven't I had Stephen King on? I mean, it's like
That would make a great video, though, Mike. Just going out there.
You get a lot of hits.
Just pro tip there.
Video, guys.
You can review the rope and the duct tape used.
I tell her why. Oh, why haven't you had this all the way? It's like I can't make anyone come on the channel, guys. You know, it's I don't know.
Just got a
I thought for a minute, I was like, whoa, am I on Brandon Sanderson's radar? Because he did send me that box set of Tress of the Emerald Sea. He didn't send me any of the other ones, though. So I'm assuming that was just a publisher thing.
Yeah.
You got in trouble for that, right? You got some grief for that?
I didn't get in trouble. I got some people were upset. They thought I was flexing about it. It's like, really, I was just saying thank you, you know, because apparently I didn't back the Kickstarter. What I said with Kickstarter is I like to help out some authors that are smaller, might not get their goal. Brandon Sanderson was going to be fine without my support. You know, the most successful Kickstarter ever. I was like, I think he's going to be okay. You know, so I was like, I donated to Emma Wong for Sword of Kaigen and to Zach Argyle for Threadlight. So I said, I want to always, you know, about 2 a year. I like to try to help out, you know, some smaller authors. So when I got sent that, and people who actually donated to the Kickstarter had not gotten theirs yet, they got really upset. And in hindsight, I realized why they felt that way. But again, that wasn't a humble brag. That was me just saying thank you because I just never expected it. That's all. But yeah.
You monster.
So I understood why people were upset.
Monster.
So Chris and I were talking, and Jarrod were talking about Stephen King because I just finished Revival. And I wanted to ask you, because you said you don't
Please
enjoy.
tell me you liked Revival. Please tell me you liked it.
It was it was hit and miss. There's some parts that I really like, but there's a lot of the book that don't need to do that.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. But
I love Revival, but that's just, you know.
But this is what King does, though. Like you talked about, like you don't want to like read a book about grass growing, but this is what Stephen King does a lot.
Yeah, he's good at it. He's good at the slice of life. You know, I think he just writes characters in a way that just connects with me. You know, because they feel like real people. You know, he just will write them so damaged and realistic stuff that you can think of that's just really happened to somebody, and I get that because I remember like people were like, I liked 11/22/63 except for like that middle part where they just like weren't doing nothing. I was like, oh, you mean my favorite part of the book? You know, but he's just so good at it. Him and Robin Hobb are really damn good at that. Like you can go back and be like, nothing's happened for 300 pages or Lonesome Dove. Nothing's happened in 100 pages and I can't stop reading. It's so good. So some authors are just really good at it, but I get if that's, you know, you're hanging out with this character in Revival through their whole life and you're like, what's happening right now? I can get how that doesn't work. But I mean, I think he's just great at it. But
yeah, I enjoyed that. That was an aspect I really liked, tracking the life story. It was
I just wanted to hang out with that character.
Yeah.
You know, I love the way he does that.
Not to give too much away, but holy shit, that ending.
It's one of his most
crazy.
messed up. Everybody, Stephen King can't write an ending. And I'm like, read Revival. I was like, yeah, damn, that's a dark ending. The thing was, like, you know, Mike Flanagan, who was a big time constant reader, he was going to be doing an adaptation of it. And the studio had told him, well, you have to change the ending. We can't have an ending that dour, let's put it that way. He was like, no, I'm not going to change the ending. In fact, he walked away. He walked away because he said he would not change the ending. So, yeah.
I'm excited for his Dark Tower.
Dark Tower should be great, though. Yeah.
If that actually happened. I mean, it's over the last 20 years, there's been so many false starts for Dark Tower. And I was like, that's like my holy grail is Mike Flanagan doing the Dark Tower. Because I feel like he'll fix all that shit I didn't like. And he'll just do all the stuff I did like. You know, so, man, that would just be a dream come true, I think.
Can it be adapted, though, by anyone? Can anyone adapt the Dark Tower?
I said there's no way. There's no way they could adapt Gerald's game. And Mike Flanagan like hit a grand slam where I was like, I trust this guy. You know, and he even I thought he made Dr. Sleep better than the book. So I don't know. I think Flanagan's just he's one of those directors who gets what makes Stephen King tick. So I think he could pull it off. I think, but Amazon's going to have to donate some money to do it right because it won't be cheap. And you got to trust them. You got to just let him go all in on the crazy. You know, we're talking about like aborting babies with pistols and shit like it does in that first book, which is like, what am I reading right now? Yeah, you've got to let him just go for it. And I just don't know they will.
I'm so worried. That's because the movie that shall not be named like whitewashed it so much. Like it was just so bland compared to the books, which are so weird and so cool and so freaky.
But Flanagan signed a new contract to move from Netflix to Amazon, so you've got to think if he's ever going to do it, I mean, given the space to do it, now's the time that he's going to get it. Yeah.
What I think Mike Flanagan is, his integrity is like, I'm not going to make it bad. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather just not make it than make it bad. So I think that's just where he's at. So he's not going to half-ass it. So if they don't let him go all in, they don't let him have creative control, he's just not going to do it. And Prime Video has shown with fantasy adaptations, they don't have the best track record with that, especially apparently with sticking their fingers in those pies all the time.
Yeah. So. They do have the money, though.
I mean, you had the guy doing House of the Dragon that was going to do a Conan show for you, and you fired him for reasons. Let's just leave it at that. And then you have these people make Rings of Power, which gets completely bodied by House of Dragon, which has been made by the guy that you fired. Weird. Weird. I have opinions about it in case you can't. House of Dragon's awesome, though. I hope you guys liked it.
Yeah. You should take up YouTube.
I do love House of Dragon.
I should start a YouTube channel. Huh?
What is an opinion if you can't broadcast it,
That's how it goes. I've been waiting I'm a big Robert E. Howard fan, and just the idea of a faithful Conan series just sounded, because they've never done it right. I mean, look, I love Arnold. I love that movie. I grew up with it, but I was like, it's like a mashup of like several Robert E. Howard stories. So I'm going to get a faithful Conan series. I was so excited for it.
Series? He was thinking about a series? Oh, wow.
Yeah, the guy that forgetting his name at the moment. He's doing House of the Dragon now, but he was wanting to do a completely faithful story of Conan. Nice, and they changed bosses at Prime Video, and she said, let's go with Wheel of Time instead.
Ryan Condal is the name of the guy.
Ryan Condal, thank you. Yeah, him and Mikhail Sapochnik just hit a home run with, if you've read Fire and Blood, you can just see what a home run they're hitting with that.
Carl works in the entertainment industry, so he's always given us insider information.
Insider baseball?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty interesting.
No, I mean, what Mike just said about, bosses change, that's tale as old as time. You have some switcheroo going on, and then everyone wants, of course, to clean the slate and start over with their own ideas. Their own ideas, of course, just them sticking their fingers in the creative pie. It's a messy industry.
Yeah.
Zip.
Leave it at that.
There definitely are things that I have dealt with that I cannot talk about. It's the industry is a mess. A lot of wonderful people, actually. The majority of the people, I mean, it's like, going on BookTube or wherever, majority of people are amazing. But the problem is a lot of the less amazing people have a lot of power, which is, you could say that's true everywhere.
But that's syntax. Like Martin Scorsese can't get films funded, so what chance has a TV creative? Creatives don't have money.
To be fair, he got Killers of the Flower Moon funded, which is $200 million, which I could not believe when I found out.
Yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, Ridley Scott seems to get it figured out. No one watches historical biopics anymore, apparently, except me. Yeah. But those aren't historical epics aren't really popular with general audience anymore. They keep giving Ridley Scott $200 million and they make $10. So
it's crazy.
Keep on doing it.
I'm glad somebody's doing it because I still like those kinds of movies.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott should be given all the money he needs all the time.
After The Martian, it was like, okay, he's back to blank check. He can do whatever he wants to do now.
Man's great.
So what movies
I haven't
are
seen Napoleon
popular?
yet, but I'm actually more excited to watch the director's. They tell you there's going to be like a 4-hour director's cut of Napoleon.
That's the one.
Good because that's the one I'm going to watch because that guy had one of the most amazing lives ever, and you're telling me you're going to get that down to 2 hours? No way, no way.
So I'm holding off too for the 4 hour.
I'm going to wait for the 4-hour director's cut and see what he wanted to make.
So what movies are popular now? What is a sure thing now? I mean,
not Marvel movies anymore. Sorry.
Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer. I still haven't watched Oppenheimer. We got it. I haven't watched it yet.
It's pretty good.
Both good. I like them both.
My wife watched Barbie. She said it was weird. That's all.
It is weird. It's true. I liked it. What else? Mario. Mario made a lot of money.
Will Mario 2 though?
What's that?
Will Mario 2 make a lot of money? That's the big question. Once you do that box of tricks once, can you do it again? The same with Barbie 2. That will have exactly the same problem. I don't know.
I think, that first weekend will be big, and if the movie's good, it'll be big. Yeah. So it's kind of like like with Sonic 2, you know, I mean, my kids freaking adored it, you know, and I think that's their target audience. So if the kids are liking it, they're going to be taking their parents to it. Going. So I think with all sequels, it's just going to depend. Okay, yeah, the first week going to be big. How big is that drop off in week 2?
You excited for the next Dune? Like,
oh yeah, that's a little bit. It's so funny about that is after I saw Arrival, I was like, oh man, Danny V is just like if this guy could make Dune, it'd be amazing. And literally the next day, he was announced he was doing Dune. I was like, if $1 million could fall out of the sky, it didn't work, but I had to try it. Yeah. You know, that was just like a dream.
Literally my favorite movie of the past 10 years. I know how much
loves that book.
So good.
What I can say, they got these things where you could like break down. It's like the dichotomy of a scene. I think it was called. It was doing the hand in the box scene, and he was saying when he was doing this scene, he kept on saying, "What would Frank do?" And I was like, no other director does stuff like that. What would the actual author do? So he's just got like the paperback in his back pocket the whole time they're filming this movie. I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to make just an amazing movie.
I cannot say a lot, but I can say the second movie is going to be really good. That's all I'll say.
I know some people got a screening of the first 10 minutes. I got that with the first one. They didn't call me this time, though.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait.
I've told this story before, but I went with my wife and 2 kids to that movie, and it was quite obvious after about an hour that I was the only one really digging it. And they had to sit through. I could see their faces for the rest of the movie going,
my oldest son, he like almost made me cry earlier this year because he was like, Dad, can I watch Dune? You know, because I want to know why it's so important to you. And I was like, well, sure, trying to hold him back. I had to hold his hand and like explain a lot of stuff to him, but he's excited enough to want to see part 2. But he was like,
that's a win.
Is it okay if we watch part 1 again? I'm like, yes, it is. Before we see it, because he watched a trailer that just came out, like a final trailer, and he was like, I don't know who this is. And I was like, well, you haven't seen Fade Ralph yet. You haven't seen, some of these characters and stuff. So he wants to watch it again. I'm like, it's fine. I'll watch it for the 14th time. No
Chris, I went by myself for that very reason. I knew that was going to happen. I'm like, nope, this is mine.
I actually have to give my eldest daughter quite a lot of credit because she was vehemently angry over the fact that it had no ending. That it was that it was just done. And it was like,
I remember when I saw it the opening night and the first credits and it says part 1. There were people in the audience like, what? Like actually saying out loud, huh? So it's like, yeah, he pulled one over on you there. Pretty good.
But I'm glad he did because it meant that by the time the 2 of them are out, they're going to be good.
Because I feel like it's done well enough on home video and streaming and Blu-ray now that enough people are interested. I hope people pay to go see it because I got to see this guy keep making these movies. Because I was like, if they ever get to the point to where they can actually make God Emperor of Dune, I cannot imagine modern audiences trying to wrap their head around that movie. So
that'd be a trip.
It'd be amazing. Yeah. I think he just wants to go through Messiah.
Are you a fan of Dune, Varsha?
Yes. I read it a couple of years ago. I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I wanted to reread it before the movie came out, but I couldn't. But I will probably before the next movie comes out. I think God Emperor of Dune is my favorite. So, I'd love for the movies to go that far.
I read that when I was 18, and I was just like, what? Yeah, so I don't think it'd be any different now. So
the 90s say.
Oh. Lots of good stuff. So, Mike, I know that you're up against it. I know you have to head out.
About 15 minutes. Yeah, they ain't knocking on my door yet. So,
all right, just making sure.
Ask me anything.
Oh, right.
My favorite new kid on the block,
that's an easy one, surely.
Yeah, no brainer. Do you plot your reviews, or do you just wing it?
I mean, I feel like the approach that I've always wanted to go for is like you're at a coffee house, you're at a bar with your friend, and they say, "Hey, what'd you think about this?" And you're just like you're talking. I've always said I wanted to talk to my audience, not at them. And I think that's just something that's resonated with a lot of people, and I'm glad because I just feel like that's the best way. I don't like anything where I can tell someone's reading off. I can see their eyes like they're reading off of a page, and if that's the way you can do it, you can't just I podcasted for 10 years before I did this, so I feel like I got pretty good at that. So I understand how everybody can do that. But no, I will make some bullet points just so I remember to talk about it because I will get to the end of a video after I record it and be like, oh man, I forgot to talk about that one thing. So I'll make some bullet points, but that's really it. It's really just let's turn the camera on and see what happens.
I was going to say, I resemble that remark because I got to write everything down first. I can't.
I get it. I mean, and the thing is, like, when I first started, I was writing it all down. I was like, why? Just treat it like you do a podcast. People don't like it. They don't like it, So. See, now I made Carl leave. So.
Scared Carl away. Poor Carl. They came to get him.
Yeah. He said too much.
You're giving away too much. Now you're talking about industry insiders. Yeah, this
it was the June 2 comment, wasn't it? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
No. Warner Brothers. Oh, no. Damn.
I've got one copyright strike on my channel. It was my Dune trailer reaction, which I don't do very often. But I'm like, how do these other channels do trailer reactions and they get nothing? It's like all they do. I don't understand why I got hit with one. So
it's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And you would think with Warner Brothers, like, you're getting people excited for your movie. Why are you against that? Warner Brothers is idiots. They're idiots. Can't stand them. They've completely ruined all my favorite DC superheroes. I'm so pissed at Warner Brothers forever for that. So.
They're idiots, but they took Kyle away from us.
See, the funny thing about the DC things is, like, I do agree that I don't think many of them are great movies, but they are way more interesting in retrospect than rewatching a lot of Marvel movies for the same reason that they are. And Man of Steel, I will stand a hill, might be the best superhero movie of them all, and I hated it the first time I seen Man of Steel.
Yes,
brilliant.
Don't tell
I was watching Godzilla vs. Kong with my kids again because they got so excited when they saw the new trailer. So we watched it again. I was like, damn, this movie did not handle the fight and the subsequent team up the exact same way that I wanted them to handle Batman v Superman. Have a certain winner and then have them team up for the greater good. It made so much more sense than what we got. And I was like, really? So Godzilla and King Kong did it better than you did? Come on, Zach. Come on. I love Watchmen. I'm excited for Rebel Moon, so I don't trash Zack Snyder, but I was like, that was a big ass letdown. I was so excited for that damn movie. Yeah. Man.
Yeah. What about you, Varsha?
I've been trashing MCU movies for a while now. Everyone treated me like a leper until Ant-Man 3 came out, and they're like, wow, maybe this isn't so good anymore.
Tragedy.
First of all, it's a third Ant-Man movie. I don't know what you were expecting out of a character like that. And yeah, their movies are just, you can go, it doesn't matter when you go pee. You know what happened. I mean, besides Spider-Man and Guardians, I haven't watched anything after Endgame. I was like, this is very clearly the jumping off point, guys. But I get it. It's like, nobody wanted the party to end. I get it. A lot of people grew up with this. This was like their Star Wars. I get it. I was like, I'm out, guys. And then all the Disney Plus stuff.
I like Multiverse
Madness. I'm a Star Wars fan. I hate what they've done to Star Wars. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask. So
I like Multiverse Madness quite a lot, but I like Sam Raimi, so maybe that's just that thing. But Quantumania is an absolute. I remember sitting in the cinema. Normally, the time passes watching Marvel movies, but I remember after about 45 minutes, I just kept on looking at watch, going, "There's at least another an hour and 45 minutes left of this movie. I cannot. This is terrible."
I heard some people on my Discord that were like still all aboard, and they were excited for that. Were like, that might be the worst 3 hours of my life. Wow. Okay,
it's really bad. Yeah, that's probably the worst one.
It's really bad. Yeah.
Do you plot your reviews, Varsha?
I used to. I mean, I like Mike mentioned, and maybe Jarrod did. I also used to write everything down, but then it took so long. I barely make these videos. So I started just talking whatever came to my mind, and there were things I forgot, but I didn't have the patience to go back and insert later on. But I do the bullet points. And I think Bright Threads episodes are the closest thing I'm doing to reviews lately. For those, I do plan what to say, but also I've started filming small chunks. So if I make mistakes, I only have to redo parts of it. So that's what I do. I do high-level points that I want to talk about. And I talk through whatever and redo things later.
So Mike, you mentioned about Star. What do you not like? What they've done? What about what they've done to Star Wars do you not like?
You ain't got enough time.
Yeah.
He said 15 minutes, 5 minutes.
pretty much everything since Luke threw his lightsaber over his shoulder. Ever since then, it's just been, wow, how do they just keep piling all this shit on top of shit? How do they keep doing this? So I don't really have a lot to say. I still was like, I'm going to, keep, I want my kids to enjoy whatever they enjoy. I don't want to influence them that way. I want them to make their own minds up about the stuff. And I think it was when we got to the point where we had watched Kenobi, and even my 11-year-old was like, "This is so dumb." But I was like, "God, I ain't got to watch this shit anymore." So we stuck with Mandalorian for a while, and the third season, even it went to kind of crap, and we're just like, "Oh well."
Did you like Andor?
Still can never take those original movies from me, no matter how many times George changes them.
I liked Andor.
At least I still got those originals on my shelf, and you can't take those away. And that's fine. That's how I feel about book adaptation. They're not coming to my office and ripping those books off my shelf. Would I have liked to have seen like Wheel of Time and Rings of Power go better? Of course. But yeah, I've always got those books. No one's taken them away from me.
Yeah, I liked Andor. I thought Andor was pretty good.
I liked that a lot.
That's what I hear.
That's what I hear.
Andor's pretty good. The problem
there's like a point, guys, where it's like Disney's run out of continues with me. I'm not done. I can't. Every time I hear, it's because people were telling me, Ahsoka's so great, and then like wait another week and like actually it wasn't that good. And I was like, people are just excited, and I get that, but I've heard Andor's really good, and now I heard that like season 2 isn't coming out to like 2026 or something now. So sorry for you guys.
I can wait.
Once my kids said they didn't want to watch Mandalorian anymore, we canceled the Disney Plus subscription with the quickness.
There you go.
So
don't need that. Yeah,
but you're a fan of the books, right? Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
I was going to say the problem I have with a lot of Star Wars TV series, you're not more than about 20 minutes away from some sort of fan servicey unnecessary moment. They have to squeeze in a sighting of a well-known character or some reference, and you're like,
we're losing our audience. Quick, put Luke in it.
I don't need that. I know you
like
read.
We were not liking the Boba Fett series like at all, and then they put that one scene with Cad Bane, and I was like, yeah, I get up. But now I was like, but outside of that, I was like, there's nothing really I liked. So I was like, was it really just like the member berries? That's how they keep you guys hanging around. Like I heard with Ahsoka, they put Anakin in it, and people were just like shitting themselves over it. And I was like, oh, so you guys like Hayden Christensen now, because I was there. You guys didn't like Hayden Christensen when it was going on. So weird how that works.
Didn't he go into hiding? He was like lived in some cabin in the middle of nowhere
for a while.
Yeah. Jeez.
Field pretty people.
Would you recommend the books though, Mike? You're a fan of the Thrawn books, right?
Oh, the legend, what they call legends now. Yeah, that's to me that'll always be the official. This stuff, Disney stuff, is fan fiction. That's the actual canon for me. And always, because it was called canon by George Lucas, and that's the creator. So that's who I'm going with. And I think if you could get George in a room, get him a couple of drinks in, he's going to be honest with you. He's going to say he absolutely regrets selling to Disney. Yeah. I think he would tell you that without a doubt, that he regrets it.
Not enough money. $4 billion wasn't enough. I've said this before. I would kill for a Darth Bane making of those original books. They were spectacular, should I say? And a lot of that.
That's I think about the closest that Star Wars has ever gotten a Grimdark.
Yeah,
that it's star by star in the New Jedi Order. I think maybe
New Jedi Order would be great as well. Yeah.
New Jedi Order, so good, so good. I will always champion New Order. So many of my friends tapped out during New Jedi Order because they were like, "Oh, I don't want to watch all my favorite characters die." I'm like, well, they're like in their 50s now. It's amazing they made it this far.
They had a good run in a world where there's no life expectancy. They've done well. Yeah.
I was like, to me, it felt like it was growing up. We didn't still have stormtroopers being a foot away from you and missing you. It grew up. You had intimidating villains that were actually killing people, and I was like, it was real. That's what I appreciated about it. But, alas.
So, I know we talked earlier about things, like the A-Team, that it didn't hold up. Something that just doesn't hold up for me is the Predator movies at all.
Stop it.
See, I always just kind of consider those campy fun already. So it's like The Running Man or a lot of those old Arnold movies where it's just like, no, I knew that they weren't a good movie. I know Big Trouble in Little China is not a great movie, but I freaking love it.
It's all about the quotes. It's all about the quotes, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's some things like that. And then there's other things like when I was younger, I thought The Wizard was a great movie.
Oh.
And I watched it in my
Super
late
Mario
20s.
3,
like,
you know?
ooh, this is terrible.
Stuff.
You know, so I'm not like most Gen Xers who everything that was nostalgia is still great. I can look at it like it was great when it happened. Yeah, but time hasn't been kind on some of these things.
Did you like the newest Predator movie, The Prey?
Haven't seen it.
It's pretty good.
I heard it was really good.
It's pretty.
Yeah, I heard it was really good.
It's on Disney Plus, but he's cancelled it. So it's
I think we have Hulu, and I think
Might
it's
be on Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah, there you go.
But we have the Hulu with ads, and I'm like, I don't want no ads during the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, look, we're only paying $1 a month for this, but I'm still not going to watch it. I'll watch ads during a TV show, but during a movie, it's like, no, it's just breaking my immersion to have a 1.5-minute ad every 20 minutes. So
it's the best Predator movie. It really is. It's really outstanding.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
You mean it's better than Predator 2?
Yes.
Oh. Don't get me started.
You're going off of a total of one good Predator movie that I've seen. So.
You got to have your bar,
like a high bar here.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, before I go, what are you reading? I always like to ask people what they're reading. What are you reading right now?
I'm reading Carl's book, and even though he's murdered in a shell of grapes somewhere.
Had a good run.
Reading Truth of Crowns by Carl D. Albert. And I'm also reading The Warrior Prophet.
Yeah.
That's the second series in
second
world,
book,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, the second series. Yeah, a lot of people are reading it, like I said, on my... people have been begging me to read this since I first said I liked the John Gwynne book, so I'm glad I'm finally doing it.
Yeah. That's your video to watch. What about you, Varsha? Now that you've done Crippled God.
Yes. I'm reading the same things that Steve is, actually. I'm also working my way through Truth of Crowns and what's the other book? Yeah, The Warrior Prophet. I haven't started it yet, but I will this weekend. And I have Voyage of the Basilisk to finish, which is the third book of Memoirs of Lady Trent.
Yes, that series. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like me, I can remember all the words of the Humpty Dance, but I can't remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Sometimes, what are you reading right now? I don't know. Could put so much pressure on me.
Oh, and Berserk, too.
And Berserk, yeah. I'm reading, volume 29 for Sunday.
Yeah, I think so.
I got through Falcon Millennium Empire, and so I pretty much almost read everything that Miura wrote of Berserk. But, now I'm on to One Piece, which is 1 billion issues long. So, yeah. I was like, that's the only series where I can say, hey, I'm on volume 20, and I'm not even a third through the series yet. So, yeah. It's fun, though. It is a lot of fun. I was very, very wrong about One Piece. It's goofy, but it's a lot more deep than I thought it was going to be.
What about you, Jarrod? What are you reading?
I will finish Tombs of Atuin up tonight, Le Guin.
Oh.
So that's...
I've never read Ursula Le Guin. I feel so bad.
This is actually great.
I have Earthsea, but I've never read it.
I actually like the second one even better. Than the first book.
Yeah, mine's that whole. It's like a one-volume edition of all the books of Earthsea. So.
And I'm also reading Bold Ascension, Von Roycroft.
Dude, I think I might be the only booktuber that not get sent this guy's book. What the hell?
I could put it.
That one and Tori. Tori didn't send me her new book. I'm like, what the hell, Tori? Come on.
That's hate. Oh, that's how wars start.
I know. I was like, what the hell?
If only Tori wasn't so cool. I don't know.
And I think Chris is reading this too. The Stars, My Stars, Destination.
Stars, that's what I'm reading at the moment. Where
sci-fi.
Book 6 on our SF Masterworks. Yep. Read along. Yep. 15-year friendship, as Varsha calls it.
Yep.
183 books in the series. We're gonna do it.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for having me on. Yeah. I appreciate it. I complain all the time that you would not believe. People think I get invites all the. I do not get very many invites. I get people that ask me to do like their little 45, 60-second cameos where they collect all these opinions from different booktubers, but like hardly anyone ever invites me on as a guest. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, join our forums, Mike, and you can join anytime. They're always there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got to go show the kids Christmas lights now because apparently, they never get tired of them.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. We'll enjoy that.
There it is.
Enjoy your
Dad
time.
shit, guys.
Thanks for
Pleasure.
coming
All
by.
right.
All right, you guys have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
You
Take
too.
care.
Nice
All the
meeting you.
best.
I guess.
Has the episode ended?
Yeah, I don't know. So any other things you guys want to talk about concerning reviews or thoughts on reviews, reviewing?
Yeah, I've only been doing. Oh, what's that, Chris?
we're off
go.
Okay.
You go.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been doing this for a year. My 1 year anniversary is actually Sunday, so
Guys.
and I don't know what to do if I'm going to do anything,
Party.
but
Yes.
Are you gonna do something special? Yeah.
I don't know, probably not. I'm not big on celebrations, but so I've only been doing it that long, and I haven't really had much as far as I mean, I get some nice comments on my channel, but a lot of them are from Varsha or Chris or from some of the authors that I've done, like Vaughn Roycroft and Philip Chase and what have you, and so I really don't know how it's going overall, as far as whether people like my review style per se. I don't do ratings. I tend to talk about themes and I talk about some things that the author might be trying to say. I don't delve too deeply into plot when I do reviews. So I'm not going to say the stuff that I guess those hyper keywords that people love. I don't get into that kind of stuff. So I'm not really sure if that's ever going to get me 1,000 subscribers or not, but I really don't care. So that's fine.
Less subscribers equals more trolls.
Yeah.
What I can say for you, Jarrod, is I stopped doing the SF Masterworks kind of content, because every time I watch one of your videos or your reviews of the SF Masterworks, I always go, really, really goddamn good. Like you put in the what I think about a lot of those books, even if I don't totally agree with every point that you make, you kind of put into the review exactly what I would have wanted to have said. And
oh wow,
you do it in about 6 or 7 minutes, which is terrific. Like I think they're really, really great.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I do try to keep them short. I don't like generally the reviews that go on for 30 minutes. I generally I'm like, I don't need all that to know whether I'm gonna like a book or not.
Good.
I just try to give the nuts and bolts of what it's about, rather than breaking down the characters and breaking down the plot and all that stuff. So I appreciate that, Chris. That's it's always nice to hear, but
Yeah.
and because I like to keep them short, I like doing them, because I don't have to spend all this time doing editing and doing all this stuff to them. I can just I write it out real quick, and then it's never more than a page.
Away you go.
And then I read it, and then I usually ad lib on what I'm reading, and so hopefully that is enough for people to get out of it what they want. I mean, I guess I'm doing okay, because I have very little subscribers, but my view count is always near where my subscriber count is. So I guess that kind of means something.
Yeah.
That's more important than subscribers, because if you have like 1,000 subscribers, but you're getting like 20 views, then it's actually not good. It's a detriment. So no, it's really good that you're doing that.
Yeah.
You getting
No,
trolls?
like Chris
You must have
said,
got some, right?
Sorry. Yeah. No, like Chris said, your reviews have been a bit of an inspiration for me. I like how short they are, and I think now that I don't, I guess it was difficult to decide what I'd be making reviews for. At the beginning, it was just, I want to talk about this book. So I needed to go on about it for 20 minutes. But if you decide that your target audience is people that maybe you're trying to just give them information if they're considering reading the book, or just give them information about, hey, this is a new book I read, then that is absolutely the style that I would choose. And that's the style that works for me as someone who wants recommendations too. So yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I don't tend to watch 20-minute reviews, because even though they're spoiler free, what people consider spoilers is different. And like some blurb spoil books by saying things that happen 3/4 of the way. And Steve knows I complained about a book recently that did that.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes, you're talking about a book and not going to not do spoilers, or at least like talk about things that might change how you experience some of the books. So 7-8 minutes seems apt, and that probably also hopefully gets you a lot of views on the reviews.
And I told you not to read the third book in Cities of Flight, Varsha. I said
You
that
did.
flat out,
I listened.
and you didn't listen.
I did not, and I still haven't listened to you guys. I'm still working my way through that book, and it's my nighttime read. So I work myself up to major anger each night before going to bed.
Great way to put yourself to sleep, I have to say. I can't think of no more effective book than making you sleepy on a nightly basis.
Oh my god, I have something. Okay, maybe we can talk about it now for a couple of minutes. I was going to tag you guys in a long post about it. But you know, when Jarrod, during your book think episode, I think you and AP were talking about the Forever War for a bit, and he talked about how the Forever War shows how societies change, and that's sort of one of the big points it makes, like how things change. And this one, I feel like the point it's making, and I don't know if it's intentional, is that nothing ever changes, even if you live for thousands of years, and or even if the world goes on for thousands of years. Everybody's the same, even though they're pretending to be different in the fourth book. It just did not work for me, that premise.
I would argue that is a product of it just not being very well written, rather than it being a point that he was trying to make. I just think he didn't have the imagination that Joe Holloman did, for instance, in trying to set up a lot of those constructs, which is what makes that book so incredible in one ways. And because things don't change, especially over 4 books,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have needed 4 books to make the point that things don't change. You wouldn't have needed to go 1,000 years, etc. I just think, I don't know. It's the one book this year that I've read that I didn't like a lot of it. Like, it's literally the one book.
The characters don't change, the societies don't change, nothing changes very much. And I'm like, that, and that's exactly my problem, that if that is the point you're trying to make, you haven't done a very good job
of it.
And it seems that you've incidentally made that point, in which case, I don't agree with you, and I don't like anything else you've done in the process. So anyway, that was my most recent gripe.
Last page is pretty good, though.
Yeah,
last page.
Just read the last page. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay, so skip
It'll
ahead.
even make sense. It'll even make sense. I promise you. Like, it'll be fine.
Well, I'll tell you, the last page, he does the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So Amalfi blows up into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, he does the right thing.
I mean, oh dear. The one point I was going to make about reviews was, I sort of feel like even in booktube spaces that discussions have replaced reviews in a lot of ways. It's much more interesting to discuss between people the good and the bad, the things that you didn't like, conversely, with another person, than watch a review, because that one perspective is so hard to get across in one sitting. Some people do it amazingly well, but I think it's very hard to do in general in any kind of engaging way, where there's at least a discussion. Certainly for me, anyway, I can come off those discussions as opposed to a video and feel energized and refreshed by the experience of doing it. Whereas, the review sitting there, sometimes I do a review and go, well, that wasn't very good, but I've recorded it, so I'll put it out, or otherwise, that kind of thing. I've made content and it's taken me quite a bit of plan and time and effort to do, so I may as well put it out. And, some of my reviews I'm very, very happy with, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I just kind of go, I'd much rather have just done a conversation about that and bounced the ideas off people and done that with it. So I think that's changed the reviewing space.
And I have no bones about having my mind changed after I put out my own review, because the Forever War I wasn't huge on when I did my review, but having that discussion with you guys upped my opinion of the book more, you know, and you know, I'm not going to go back and retract anything, but I didn't say it was a bad book at all. I still liked it, you know, but that was the beauty. That's the beauty of some of the discussions, is you talk things out and you learn more, and you pick up things that people caught that you didn't catch, and that makes it a good experience.
Yeah, I think for me they have too. I think discussions are much more interesting, and you different perspectives, and you get to bounce off each other, and you all pick up. You know, we all bring our own experiences and everything to the discussion. I think with reviews, I would record reviews and then just say, what am I saying that someone else hasn't said already? I mean, other than like I liked it, read it, and I think there's this whole thing around reviews that some people think you have to do certain things to be a reviewer, quote unquote reviewer. And at some point it just gets exhausting. Like, I don't want to bother with this. Like, so I think that's why discussions are much more casual and just kind of open. And, for me anyway, it's less, it's almost less work than scripting a review, than recording it, editing it. All that takes time, and it's just easier and it's more enjoyable to come and have a discussion about it and hear different. And you always come away, like Chris mentioned this before, you like a natural high, and you learn something along the way. And the reviews that just repeat what happened in the book, it's like I just read it. Like, the book is about this person that does this and this and this, and then they run into this person and they do this together. It's like, no, I don't have to read the book.
Those are the worst, because they're not giving you a review of the book. They're telling you the plot, and it's like, no, you want to read the book to find out the plot. You don't want to be told the plot. The review is supposed to give you insight into what might make this book good for you.
And that's not to say there aren't some people that are incredible at reviews. Like, I mean, people that you turn on to and then just go, they can crystallize, whether in 25 minutes or in 2 minutes, they can do a really good job of crystallizing why this book's interesting or should be worth reading, or what it did to them or otherwise. Like, there are some people I just look at sometimes and go, bravo. Like, that's a skill in its own right, whether you appreciate it or not, you know. So that is cool.
Yeah, I think Joanna's really good about that. I think she does really good reviews.
Joanna's really good. I like Philip Chase's reviews, and I like Joanna's. Those two people in AP are basically what got me into BookTube.
Jimmy too.
Jimmy's mine. I think Jimmy's good too, exceptionally good. Even his wrap up, what he can do in 3 or 4 minutes on his wrap up is like, and then his longer form reviews are great. But like, I just think 3 or 4 minutes when you can just encapsulate a book so perfectly. Jimmy just blows my mind about how good he is about that, and he kind of makes when I'm sitting down, or when I was sitting down to the review, going a bit like you were saying, Steve. Like, what am I saying that Jimmy hasn't said far better? Like, you're sort of trying to imitate's the wrong word, but you're trying to get something out of what he gets into his reviews into your own, and it's a hard headspace to be in, you know.
I'd never watch reviews of books that I'm reading or that I'm gonna review eventually, you know, because I never I don't want to be influenced at all, in my opinion. About what I put out there.
But conversely, like, when you come to a chat, a bit like you're saying about the Forever War, even you come after you do one of those chats, you're kind of going like, I thought this about this book, but you are kind of encouraging to be challenged, you know, on it. That so that somebody's seen something else. Like, that is like, there'd be nothing worse than actually sitting in that room going, everybody felt exactly the same way about every page. Like, that would be a really boring chat. Whereas somebody goes, oh my God, that page you hated, I loved, and this is why. And you go, oh my God, I never thought about it like that. Oh, that's really interesting.
But it's also good to that we're all like very open people, and that
that's true.
we're not coming in.
No, Jarrod, just cut it out.
Exactly.
You're wrong.
Exactly. We're not coming in saying, no, this is how we saw it and you guys are all wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, that's what makes it fun. I'm wrong. I'm just going to go now.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think it has to do with the people that you discuss with too. It all matters, right? It's people who are open to discussion, open to new ideas, and not so rigid in their own thoughts and takeaways.
But that's also why, like, all of us have read multiple books together now, because you get that from a certain group of people that you're like, okay, this is a fun group. This is a really fun group. See things even slightly different than I do, which is.
And then you throw Janie Wirtz in the mix, and you get all kinds of new ideas thrown at you.
Yeah, I think with our group, I think you can come in and say, you know what, I really didn't like this book, and someone else can say, this is my favorite book ever, and no one's going to be personally offended. It's not like a personal. It's just like, tell me why you loved it, and I'll tell you why I didn't like it, and we'll just talk about it. And maybe at the end of the conversation, Chris, you've mentioned this, like you walk away with a better appreciation. And instead of maybe you didn't like it, maybe you come away saying, there's things I didn't think of, and I kind of like it now. Like, it's not my favorite, but I appreciate it for what it is. So I think being open to, not taking things personal.
I think, Steve, I think you and I talked Chris off the ledge a couple times.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. but it is that idea that we all have different life experiences and different perspectives and things, and actually being so diverse geographically actually lends itself to a much greater experience in that regard because of that, because my cultural biases or otherwise are very different from somebody else's, and my prejudices can play into my reading experience as well. Like you can be open enough and say that and kind of take it for what it is, but also like kind of say, okay, I could be wrong, which is what makes reading fun. It's why you want to pick up the next book, isn't it? Like it's literally, I want to have the next either fun discussion or the next fun experience of whatever it is.
I'm wrong a lot, so I come up
like dumb people shouldn't read smart books is probably the greatest the greatest expression I've ever heard from somebody else to another human being, because in some ways it kind of says so much more about the person saying the thing in the first place rather than actually an objective appreciation of what is happening.
I did get a fun email a while back. It's been a couple of years, but I got a really aggressive email that I haven't shared. Maybe I'll share it. Maybe it's enough time has passed. I'll share it. But it was someone was upset that I wasn't a fan of The Faithful and the Fallen.
Okay.
Is that the series? Yeah. They're really upset that I didn't like that book. They're really mad. So I think this is a big deal, but battle scenes I'm just not the biggest fan of. So
well, it's a bit like Jose and his take on Wheel of Time. Like that'll be an evergreen video for him insofar as he just put out his opinion, haven't invested a lot of time in the series to kind of say like, this didn't work for me. Which it should be in the big picture enough for people to say like, well, you give it a go. That's fair enough. But no, what you've deeply offended my personal being, and the Wheel of Time shall not be besmirched in any way.
So I guess, is there ever concern for any of you that do you ever shy? So like you just said, Chris, that video for Jose will be, I think it's at a few thousand views already, but it'll go on forever. Is there, I think some people, and I'm not criticizing, but I think some people embrace those moments because they can make a negative video and it'll get views. They'll get subscribers. They'll get interaction, and it'll go up the algorithm. It'll always be there. Or do you avoid it because you just don't want to make that kind of content? I think there's that kind of back and forth of, I want my channel to grow. I want to, because no one wants to make a video and nobody watch it, right? So I think there's that middle ground to find where you don't want to be, how negative do you go, and how much does the attention it'll get play into that decision?
It's a good question.
I guess a negative attention is
for me, and maybe this comes with experience. If I was a younger man, I would definitely have a different view on this, without doubt. If I was in my 20s, I'd have a very different view, doubt. But when you, like Jarrod was talking about earlier on, when he's reading the book, he's making notes and whatever else. That's an awful lot of time to revel in negative emotions. And as I get older, I kind of try and avoid those situations as best I can, because it is very easy to fall into funks in life, negative emotions overtaking everything else that happens. Negative experiences kind of pile on top of each other. If I found that I was using that in a creative capacity, that's potentially extremely unhealthy for me. This is just for myself speaking. But if I'm using negative emotions in a creative capacity, that I'll go down a very dark path myself. So if I'm going to do a creative endeavor, I want there to be something positive out of it. So you're looking for that natural high that we're talking about from the discussions. Like, that's the reason you come back and do those. That's always a positive and enriching experience. Whereas a negative review is not. It's not doing me any good. If you're only getting views of that, maybe you get your dopamine hit another way. But I don't have enough viewers for that, so it would really be a folly to even think about that. Maybe I should try it. Maybe that is the future. Be miserable, grumpy old Chris. I'll change the channel name, Grumpy Chris or something. Be something like that. It's a new direction.
That might be amusing.
What about you, Jarrod? Does it play into your decisions at all?
Yeah, I don't like conflict. I don't like emotional conflict. I don't like. I'm not a debater. I can't debate you on a stage. I'll lose every time. So I go for the positive all the time. I wouldn't. If I read a book that I really don't like, I don't know why I would finish if I didn't like it that much.
Yeah. Citizen Flight.
Like if I disliked it,
I feel called out for reading Citizen Flight.
As bad as Cities of Flight is, it was still interesting to me in a weird sort of way. It wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad that it actually pissed me off.
Yeah, agree.
So, but if there's a book that I'm reading that actually gets me that mad, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to, it's not. I don't know. It's not my nature to be combative in that kind of a way. So,
have you always been like that, Jarrod? Or is this
I've always been
new?
like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. When I was younger, I used to love debating and just like get into not fight, just debate and kind of bring facts and be prepared. And now that I'm older, it's like I don't care. Like I don't want to It's not. I don't feel like arguing. Yeah. Just leave me alone. So I think it's kind of. I think, there's, and I think just in general, like there's things that happen. You're just like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to let it bother me kind of thing. But yeah,
I would rather you physically hit me than get in an argument with me.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. What about you, Varsha?
About negative content, I think, I don't think I would spend energy on it. I do occasionally rant to my husband about something a book or story did, but that's just, getting it out of my system. But also, usually it's about problematic things in a book that bother me. What I don't understand is people being angry at a book because they did not like it. Like it doesn't do anything wrong. It just didn't work for them, and then being angry about it. I don't understand that emotion, but I wouldn't spend energy on it. Like even the time I spend ranting to my husband, when I occasionally do, I'm like, I can do something better. I'd rather use this time to, I don't know, watch an episode of Frasier together or something. So
I can't imagine this Varsha at all. You going off and I think your husband should film it. Just even the 15 seconds short or something. Just I just think this is really fascinating. You just seem like the most positive person all the time.
I try, but some things make me angry, and I don't talk about them on a public forum, but with friends. I think we're friends. I'll talk them when we're not recording, but
To all the listeners, you should hear Varsha when the recording stops and it's just like F-bombs and chairs are being thrown. It's insane.
I would love that.
Our listeners.
The Christmas party's going to be wild this year, right?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because now towards the end of the year, a lot of people will make the whole best of the year, worst of the year, and just like trash books and like things they didn't like, and it's like just not interesting. Like to just go at a bunch of books and talk. I mean, I guess it all has to do with your approach and kind of how you present it. Like if you just say I didn't like this because of X, Y, and Z, or if you're like this book is just like complete trash and I hated every minute of it and they should have never written this book. I think it's all in your approach. But if you just get nasty, you put out that kind of content. I think people that are looking for those kind of emotions and are craving those kind of negative emotions and feelings, they'll gravitate towards you, and then that's what you'll get back. It's like it's a cycle. You know, it's a circle. Yeah.
Right. You'll get back what you put out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it really bothers me that the titles of those videos, the negative ones, are 5 most disappointing books. The word disappoint seems strange to use. It's but I guess I kind of understand it, but also how can a story disappoint? You just like it or you don't.
So a lot. I was actually going to make this point earlier on. A lot of reviews that are, say, 3 stars or take a star off, end up being, I didn't like the decisions that the author made in their own story. You know, I wanted the book to end this way, but it ended this other way. And I sort of feel like that's not really a review of the book. That's a review of, I wish I'd have written the book. And I'd written it this way, you know?
That's a review of your feelings. It's not a
review of your feelings, not actually of the book. Yeah,
right.
For sure. And I think that's a very problematic review in some ways to write. Rather than kind of reviewing the thing that you were given, you know?
That's almost like saying, oh, I don't like this person because they didn't do these things that I would have done in their place. Like, not exactly, but it feels similar. Sorry, Steve, you were saying.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. No, I was just thinking because I heard an author tell me that a while back that they had a review that was like, I didn't like this decision that was made, and it's like, well, just write your own book then.
Yeah.
But how do you, as a reviewer, how do you express in a review or to someone that you didn't like, I guess, like where the story went? Like how would you say, like, I didn't like that the plot went this direction without saying I didn't like this, like I could have done it better, or presented in that way?
So that falls into 2 categories for me. So one's either a plot decision or a thematic decision, and I'm a thematic reader. So if a book went in a different thematic direction than I thought they set up, for instance, I'm trying to think of a good example, but I can't obviously off the top of my head. But, you know, that it made a thematic choice to say this book is going to be about this thing rather than this. I think that's something you can talk about from a thematic sense. If it's a plot thing or an ending or something like that, you can just say the ending disappointed me without saying, you know, going into any detail on it. I think that's fair enough to say, because I think if you say an ending disappointed you, another person could read it and say, well, actually, quite like the ending. Like pretty much every ending in the history of the world, apart from Game of Thrones season 8, is 50-50. In some way that people will like or dislike, but you know, kind of talking it in that terms rather than, you know, this book fell apart or something. You know, there's something like sentence another way to express maybe the same thing in what I would say is a slight unfair connotation, if you just say that.
Yeah. Well, it's there's a difference between you're not liking, because if they're changing the theme of what they're talking about, then they're not doing themselves a service, because you know that means they're doing something wrong. I think if they're changing what the book is about halfway through the book or in the last chapter of the book or something like that, because there's, you know, writers who know what they're doing, know how to wrap up a theme within this context of their story. I mean, because if most of the time, if you don't like how a book may end, it's not because they're off theme or whatever, or they're off. It's just because they made a decision, and you could say it was well done, but it wasn't the ending I was hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you could still talk about what was good about the writing and what was good about how they presented the theme and all that stuff, and that's that's fine. I can't think of any examples. I mean, Game of Thrones, the TV show, I think they just totally went off topic.
It was thematically inconsistent.
Yeah.
It felt rushed when everything was drawn out. There were actual reasons why that didn't work, rather than that it was just a bad ending.
Yeah. But that's why we didn't like the end, because they went off topic, not indeed. Because they just chose an ending that was related to what the whole rest of the series was about, and we just didn't like it. It was they went off kilter.
Yeah. I think I might have a decent example, especially if anybody here plays video games, because some video games give you the choice of ending at the end and basically says you can end this either way you want. And the classic example for me, maybe nobody's played it here, is Far Cry 3, right? Far Cry 3, at the end of Far Cry 3, gives you a very clear idea of you deciding as the player whether you wanted this game to be realistic or be wish fulfillment. And you got to choose your ending at the end of that to kind of say, I think this. And it was very, like, as somebody who played the game for, 20, 30, 40, 50 hours or whatever it was, it's very clear to the person playing it what way they approached it. So they choose the appropriate ending. Whereas, books obviously have to pick a binary, a singular choice rather than a binary choice that the video games allow you. And sometimes different forms of storytelling allow that versus other ones. And that's where they kind of have power.
Such a great game.
Oh my god, the end of that game blew my mind for that choice in its own right, because it was the not me choice, but it was what thematically I played the game. That's all I'll say.
It was a game, what was it called? Infamous? And I think it was PS3.
Yep.
Such a fun game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Again, all about whether you want to play as a dark character or a light character. You choose your own path of how you portray and use your powers and still sort of play the same game. I think that's a really interesting concept in terms of storytelling and have it played. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone reacts differently to you depending on the choices you make.
Indeed,
yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I know it's getting late for you, Chris.
Oh, we're only just starting. I might just start read about 10 chapters or something when we're finished, That's very cool.
There you go.
Right. Sure. Yeah. But in the meantime, Chris, where can people find you?
So people can find me on my YouTube channel, probably talking about movies at the moment. That's the kind of headspace that I'm in, aside from doing the chats that we were talking about there with Varsha and Jarrod, etc. on there. So you can find me on my YouTube channel at Chris Mohan, or you can find me on the Patreon forums, I should say. Right about there.
Yes. And Jarrod, where can people find you and troll you mercilessly?
Oh boy. I'm going to go now. No, you can find me at the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel. And you can, and I'll hunt the page chewing forums and write a blog there, and let me know how that's going.
Nice. Going very, very well. Love your blog posts.
Thank you.
They're great fun.
Creative Crossroads.
Yeah. And Varsha.
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Reading by the Rainy Mountain, and the About page has other ways to reach me. And of course, you can find me all the time on the page chewing forum.
And I guess it goes without saying, I can also be found on the page chewing forum if you want to get in touch. And of course, Mike, I'll leave his link below if you don't know who he is or not familiar with his channel, which I think pretty much everyone is. But if for some reason you haven't, I will add it down below. Thanks again to Mike for making time to come and chat with us and, have a fun Friday evening.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to join us for a Friday conversation, join our forums and find all the invites there and come and say hello. We'll talk to everyone soon. Have a great weekend.